videos about the Marvel Universe, starting with the top 10 superheroes. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201. I'll just say it's one of the two Star-Lords. Who of you just said it was Thanos? It almost scared me to death. If it had been before, I would have complained, but after watching the last video, my views on him have completely changed. At least this guy can be considered a hero. That's right, this guy can be considered a hero. It's not bad to get a reward. Maybe you can choose a hidden video or something as a reward. That would be great. At this point when the dimensional platform names the person who received the reward point, some are happy and some are sad. However, they readily accepted the candidate point. After all, they saw Star-Lord Peter Quill's bravery and fearless sacrifice in the previous video, so they thought he deserved this award. So they all looked forward to seeing what rewards this guy would get. At this point inside the prison, Star-Lord's face was full of shock and excitement. It was like there was a drum beating inside, beating wildly, and I was even so excited that I danced my favorite dance, although the prisoners around him looked at him like a fool. But that doesn't stop Star-Lord from being extremely happy at this moment, because now he can finally stand up straight and say, I, Star-Lord, not only is it on the list and got a reward, cool, I can only use one word to describe it. So he stared at the dimensional platform in front of him, eager to know what rewards he would get. Please choose one of the two options below as a reward. Option 1. Cyclops. Surrounding energy such as solar radiation, photons, and cosmic rays can be absorbed by the body and metabolized into concussive shock waves, which are released from the eyes and can penetrate a mountain, but the maximum power is unknown and has been improved. You can control it yourself if your mental strength is strong enough. Option 2. Choose one of the unselected rewards. In the expectant eyes of countless people, reward options finally appear on the dimensional platform, and when they saw what the reward options were, their faces were full of shock and envy. Cyclops? Damn it. You actually have this kind of ability? You can actually penetrate a mountain. Oh my god. Isn't this too powerful? And he releases it by absorbing the surrounding light energy. Doesn't it mean that his energy is endless? If it is used for fighting, a visual shockwave will probably sweep across thousands of armies. The most terrifying thing is that the maximum power of this Cyclops' shockwave is unknown. I can't even imagine its maximum power. Maybe it's far more powerful than penetrating a mountain? Maybe a planet. This must be a customized reward. It is definitely a customized reward. I remember the collector's joking words and asked Chala if he didn't have eyes that could emit lasers. Now it's directly awarded to Star-Lord Quill. Good guy. Chala probably fainted in the toilet from crying. Hey, what you said seems to make sense. I also remembered it. Quill must choose this. It suits him very well, but among the other rewards that were not chosen, there are some very good ones, such as the Quake Fruit, that Chala didn't choose. Good guys, it would be fun if the rewards of Chala and Peter Quill were switched. Got it. Countless people have thought of the collector's words, although it was said to another Star-Lord Chala point, but for Quill, although he is a demigod, he does not have eyes that can emit lasers, and now, if you get this Cyclops, not only can combat effectiveness be improved, and even if facing Ronan it can also compete with it, but people soon remembered the shock fruit that Chala had not chosen before. You must know that I have seen the power of Thor's Thunder Fruit before. Naturally, he knew that the power of the Zensin Fruit would not be much worse. For Star-Lord Quill, who wants to have power, that must be a good choice. Of course. This is also everyone's guess. The real choice still depends on Star-Lord himself. Don't you want this laser eye? I think this thing suits you quite well. After all, when I saw your mask for the first time, it was quite interesting. It also has two red eyes. I'm Groot. I think so too. Prison. At this time everyone was looking at Star-Lord Pointy, who was still bouncing around just now. Frowned. When Rocket Raccoon saw this scene, He also joked and reached a consensus with Groot. They all think it is better for Star-Lord to choose this thing. It matches him perfectly. But he saw Star-Lord shake his head, glanced at Gamora beside him and said, "Do you think I should choose Cyclops, or the shock fruit that Black Panther didn't choose before, or something else?" Star-Lord asked seriously. Gamora was stunned for a while. Obviously she didn't expect Star-Lord to ask her. She thought for a moment and answered, "If it's the Zensin fruit, it obviously doesn't suit you. You're not a muscular man. On the contrary, being fat is quite interesting. Other things, such as infinite life, seem to be even more inconsistent with you. Do you want to live alone for hundreds of thousands of years or even longer? So choose Cyclops. Not only can you carry out sneak attacks, but you can also catch the enemy off guard. This suits you quite well." Gamora's analysis. Star-Lord's expression became more serious before this. He never thought that he would fall in love with this somewhat violent woman. But that's not necessarily the case now. Then he thought of something and joked, "You said that my chance of being on the list is the same as your chance of becoming my girlfriend. Maybe when I get the reward, you should think about it." Finished. Star-Lord chuckled and then said to the dimensional platform, "I choose option 1. Ding. Rewards are being distributed." Dimensional platform's words just finished. A beam of light rushed directly into Star-Lord's eyes, hot and itchy. At this time, Star-Lord closed his eyes tightly. Keep rubbing with your fingers. But it was like countless ants crawling inside. No matter how hard he blinked, it would not diminish. He could feel a strong energy filling his eyes, as if it was about to overflow at any time. The faces of the people around him were full of horror. They looked at Star-Lord in dumbfounded eyes. His eyes were constantly blooming with dazzling red light, and the surrounding air was trembling, as if absorbing energy, oscillating with layers of ripples. See this scene. People stepped back. I'm afraid that, if Star-Lord can't control it, it will spurt out. Boom. The earth-shattering explosion resounded through the sky, and it was just as they thought. Star-Lord failed to control the light, and a red light containing heaven-destroying energy shot out from his eyes, instantly penetrating the ceiling above his head. A large hole several meters wide came out, seemingly penetrating hundreds of meters directly to the outside world. Countless gravel and dust suddenly flew everywhere, and the momentum caused can only be described as amazing. Hiss. Not only the people in the prison, but also the people watching the video took a breath. They didn't expect the power of this Cyclops to be so terrifying, and what they didn't expect was Star-Lord got this Cyclops for the first time and couldn't control it. Fortunately, he ended up looking at the ceiling. Otherwise, the people around you might melt into blood in an instant. Holy shit, you are murdering. I was almost killed by you. What level of spiritual power do you need to reach to be able to control this? It's so terrifying. This power is so terrifying. I almost peered in fear. I thought he was targeting me just now. Fortunately, he raised his head, otherwise I would have been completely wiped out. But it can also be seen that this Cyclops is really strong. If it deals with Thanos, it can probably kill him in an instant. Yes, if Ronan dares to come over and steal the cosmic spirit ball, let him also see the power of Cyclops. I also believe that Star-Lord can control this ability. Countless people lamented the power of Cyclops, although there are worries in my heart. But they believe that Star-Lord can handle it all. At this time Star-Lord gasped for air, then he roared lowly. It was as if he had exhausted all his strength. Finally the laser stopped and closed his eyes. When he opened it again, he still had the same hot and itchy feeling as before. But it's much better than before. Not so sudden. I feel like I have mastered this ability, which is great, Star-Lord said with narrowed eyes, continuously adapting. There was even a little more solemnity on his face. Chapter 202. This ability has been improved by the dimensional platform. As a result, I couldn't control it from the beginning. So in the beginning, wouldn't this ability be completely uncontrollable? He can't imagine. Just when he was about to taunt Thanos and provoke him. The familiar voice sounded from the dimensional platform. Ding. Congratulations to Star-Lord for choosing to trigger the hidden video. Hide video. When the sound of the dimensional platform sounded, people throughout the universe who were envious of Star-Lord had their pupils expand rapidly, and their mouths grew bigger. It's like I heard something extraordinary, if I remember correctly. It seems like hidden videos haven't appeared for a long time. I can't help but look forward to what the hidden video will be this time. It's actually a hidden video. I haven't seen a hidden video for a long time. Oh my god, there is actually a video. It seems that Star-Lord has had a lot of experiences. I guess it must be related to his biological father. That's right. I think so too. Maybe through this video, we will know what his biological father does. Yeah. I also want to know why Yondu accepted the commission, but didn't hand over Star-Lord to that guy. Last time Yondu's barrage was mysterious, something big must have happened. That's right. Let's see what interesting things Star-Lord will encounter again. Countless people were speculating, and the sense of anticipation was instantly high. All of them don't want to know who Star-Lord's biological father is, and why didn't Yondu give Star-Lord to his father? They all stared at the dimensional platform with their eyes wide open. Then a scrolling title letter caught people's eyes. Hidden video. Father is kind and son is filial. A loving father and a filial son? What's the meaning? What does the title mean? Why do I feel like there are two layers? Yeah. I feel like the first one is literal. A father is loving, and his son is filial, and the other one is the complete opposite. Holy crap, this author's ability to intrigue people has increased again. I can't wait to find out what will happen. Very good point. This author's ability to intrigue people has been enhanced again. Immediately, the anticipation of countless people climbed to its peak. Fix your eyes on the dimensional platform. Looking forward to what will happen. Point 123. God Ego. The one who dares to defeat him is his father. A kind father and a filial son. Could it be about my biological father? At this moment, when the title of the hidden video comes out, Star-Lord stared at the screen with his eyes wide open, his face full of surprise and curiosity. After all, at the end of the video, he saw his father whom he had never seen since he was born. So now I see this title. It comes naturally. This hidden video must be about him and his biological father. A loving father and a filial son. Why does it sound so weird? Could it be that I'm overthinking it? At this time, Rocket Raccoon on the side groaned in confusion. Something was obviously wrong. And glanced up and down at Star-Lord. I can't see how this guy is filial at all. What are you looking at? It seems you look down on me. Star-Lord looked at Rocket Raccoon. Put your hands around you, hung. And there seemed to be a red light coming out of his eyes. Rocket Raccoon immediately shut his mouth. Dare to be angry, but dare not speak. All I dare to do is clenched my little fists tightly and cursed him a few times in my heart. Then he shifted his attention to the dimensional platform. I hope the hidden video can give him a good slap in the face and beat him to death. The other side. On board the Predator ship. At this time, Yondu saw the title of this hidden video. My heart skipped a beat. I started to worry immediately. He never told the others why he accepted the commission, but did not transfer Star-Lord to his father. Only he knows. If Star-Lord is handed over to that man, then Star-Lord will definitely die. Even with the infamy. He has been silently enduring it and has always protected Star-Lord, treating him as his own child. No matter what mistakes he made, he could always find a reason to excuse Star-Lord. So now he can guess in the future. Star-Lord must have met that god, Star-Lord's father Ego. Then it also represents Star-Lord. Whoops. The more Yondu thought about it, the more he felt his breathing became short, his whole body lost strength, and he even felt a little unsteady. He didn't want to see Star-Lord die anyway. After all, he has always loved Star-Lord and his children. So I shifted my gaze full of worry and prayer to the dimensional platform, hoping that everything would be fine for Star-Lord. The video begins. Deng deng. Deng deng deng. The soft sound of piano resounded. Let countless people begin to feel peaceful in their hearts immediately afterwards. Colorful nebulae appeared in the picture, hanging in the space like spreading mist, giving people a great visual impact. At this time, a spaceship resembling a drop of water streaked across the sky. The speed is unimaginable. If it weren't for the video being slowed down many times, maybe people didn't notice that this was a spaceship. However, when people see clearly what this spaceship is, their hearts were pounding and beating. His face was full of surprise and surprise because they saw this spaceship at the end of the previous video. It's Star-Lord's father's spaceship. Soon the camera turned. The spacecraft arrived at an extremely beautiful planet. The mountain flowers here are blooming, harmonious and natural, and every building is ingenious and exquisite. Words cannot describe this extremely beautiful picture. Not only Star-Lord and others in the video, but also the people watching the video were stunned at this scene. Compared with the outer space nebula just now. This place can only be described as a wonderland, which brings a double shock to people's vision and soul. I'll go. It's so beautiful here. Is this Star-Lord's home? I think it should be so. Star-Lord is too happy. This father also said that he is a god. Who would dare to mess with Star-Lord in the future? That's right. I also want to have a godfather, so that no one will dare to bully me in the future. Countless people learned about it through the conversation between Star-Lord and his father. They were hunted down by countless enemy warships. Then Star-Lord's father appeared. Not only did he not wear protective clothing, he also killed dozens of battleships in an instant, and now he has a planet of his own. Here this countless people's faces showed expressions of shock and admiration. They thought Star-Lord's father was strong enough. I didn't expect it to be so strong. Good guy. Star-Lord hugged a thigh. Warm and harmonious. There is beauty everywhere here. It seems that Star-Lord can finally live his life in peace. My first memories are of flickering, floating in the universe, existing completely alone. Over millions of years, I have learned to control the molecules around me. I'm getting smarter and stronger. I'm constantly building, layer after layer, finally built the planet you are now standing on. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203. When Egg introduced his origin. Only then did people realize. It turns out that Egg's core is not his body. It's the planet under your feet, or the innermost core. Soon. Ego showed Star-Lord how he fell in love with his mother and gave birth to him. But Star-Lord's words immediately made countless people watching the video feel that something was wrong. You love her so much. Why did you leave her? That's right. Ego has been telling Star-Lord how much he loves him and his mother, but since birth. He had never met this so-called father until the end. Or entrust Yondu to pick it up from the earth. This is not what a father would do at all. At this time. The background music becomes extremely weird. It makes the heart of those watching the video sink. It was as if there were countless needles sticking into my body. And I felt a sense of crisis everywhere. This Egg is very problematic. Very problematic. The scene changes. Egg and Star-Lord stayed together, even though it's also beautiful. Transfer group 377,211. But Star-Lord always felt unhappy. So he expressed his feelings to Egg. Listen, I really wanted to believe this, but you left the most wonderful woman in the world and left her alone. I don't want to leave your mother, Peter. If I don't return to my planet regularly and return to the light within it, this human form will degenerate and disappear. Then, why didn't you come back? Why did you ask Yondu to go? But why did you ask a criminal to pick me up? I love your mother so much, Peter. I can't bear to go to an Earth without her. You can't imagine what that feels like. I know exactly what that feels like. I'm not allowed to watch her die. Here, the words. Egg's face showed sadness, self-blame, and distress. Then he answered very seriously, I have existed for millions of years and made many mistakes, but Peter, you are not one of them. Please give me a chance to be the kind of father she would want me to be. Star-Lord relented. And under the guidance of Egg. Successfully used the energy of this planet to create an energy ball. He showed a joyful smile. And people who are watching the video see this scene. His face was full of solemnity. They felt that there must be some huge conspiracy involved. This Egg looks very much like an act. Wait a minute. Why do I think there's something wrong with this Egg? I feel like a liar. Yeah, his reason is too far-fetched. If he really loved Star-Lord's mother, if he really loved Star-Lord, he wouldn't have sent predators to pick them up, unless Ego doesn't love Star-Lord at all and just wants Star-Lord to come over and carry out some ulterior secrets. Otherwise, as a father, he will pick him up personally. Right, wait, look, in the video, Star-Lord and Ego begin to rekindle their father-son relationship. The other side. The scene changes, the background music becomes extremely scary. It made countless people's hearts tremble suddenly. Then Gamora appeared in the camera. As the camera follows her gaze into the distance. Everyone took a breath. A chill enveloped their whole bodies, and they began to tremble crazily because of Gamora's front. It's a hill made of countless corpses. These bones are all the descendants of Egg left in various places. Star-Lord. Why? I just said why. There is no one on this planet. It turns out that they are all buried here. What exactly does he want from me? Hiss. These are all Ego's descendants? Doesn't it mean that Ego was lying just now? He didn't love Star-Lord's mother at all. He just wanted to give birth to his own offspring. As for why he didn't kill her, Star-Lord, it must be because Star-Lord has something he wants, right? Wait a minute, could it be that he is planning a huge conspiracy? He is a god. That will definitely affect the entire universe. It's over. It's over. Then isn't Star-Lord also doomed? Let me just say that this Ego doesn't look like a good person. There are loopholes in everything he said. Who will save Star-Lord? Can Gamora rescue Star-Lord? I can't see it. Star-Lord is really finished this time. Countless people's eyes were wide-eyed, even their mouths were trembling, and their faces were full of shock and disbelief. They never imagined that it was all a scam, and Egg's real purpose is to get something from Star-Lord. Suddenly, countless people's hearts trembled. I remembered that Star-Lord was with Egg. A chill swept over me again. Star-Lord is very dangerous at this time. The sudden and terrifying background music made countless people tense up and become extremely nervous. In the next scene, Star-Lord and Ego appeared in the hall. I saw Ego gently tapping Star-Lord's forehead, and I saw his eyes rolled up as if he had lost his mind. Listening to Ego's words, I call it expansion. It's my goal, and now it's your goal too. Over the thousands of years I've planted thousands of my extended roots on thousands of worlds. I've got to fulfill life's only true purpose. To grow, spread, and cover all existence until everything becomes me. Boom. When Egg revealed his purpose, the faces of countless people were trembling. Now I finally understand what Egg wants to do. It turns out that he wants to assimilate the entire universe into him. What a terrifying and shocking idea, compared to destroying the entire universe. This situation is even more extreme, because then nothing will exist except Egg. 0 Ask for flowers. It's like an invasion of alien plants, spreading wildly and devouring it, destroying all original life. It's terrible. This is his purpose. Damn. I thought he must have a huge conspiracy. I didn't expect that he wanted all the planets in the universe to be assimilated by him. Even if the plan is so crazy, what does he want from Star-Lord? Yes. Why does he give birth to so many offspring? What does he need? Is it possible that he needs a specific condition? Countless people were angry at Egg's purpose. But what puzzled them even more, Egg gave birth to so many offspring, but he chose Star-Lord. And why? Soon Egg's words gave them the answer. I just have one problem. One god doesn't have enough energy to accomplish such a great thing, but two gods might do it. Of all the things I do, my favorite is trying to graft my DNA onto other people's species and ask Yondu to give me my offspring. Although this went against the principles of the Predator, I compensated him generously and told him that I would not harm these children, but they all let me down one by one. None of them carried the god gene until you, Peter! Exclamation mark. Boom, boom, boom. When people hear these words, their hearts beat like crazy. It feels like the blood in the whole body is boiling. They thought this crazy plan was infuriating enough, but I didn't expect this to be even more infuriating, and I even wanted to kill this disgusting guy. You did it for the god genes. Are you going to kill your children so cruelly? It's so disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. I really want to kill him. 0 It turns out that he is seeking the genes of the gods. The last time Star-Lord held the Power Stone with his bare hands, he was able to prove that he is not an ordinary person, but a demi-human and demigod. That's why he became Ego. The goal. Doesn't that mean Ego has met all the conditions? Then doesn't the entire universe come to an end? Yeah. Star-Lord is also under control now. He is probably out of luck. No. I believe Star-Lord will definitely be able to wake up. I believe him. That's right. I believe in him too. Don't forget what the author said at the beginning. Even if the universe is destroyed, he will stand up. Countless people were angry and prayed that Star-Lord could react. Their eyes were fixed on Star-Lord. My heart jumped into my throat. I was extremely nervous because they were afraid that a hero like Star-Lord, who had finally become a hero, would become a pawn of Ego. But at this moment, chapter 204. The background music suddenly became loud and majestic. It's like a beam of light shining into the darkness. When Ego said personally that he killed Star-Lord's mother with his own hands, the camera zooms in front of Star-Lord. Star-Lord's originally empty and eyes immediately recovered. See this scene. Countless people were breathing rapidly and shouting with giant arms. They knew that Star-Lord would definitely wake up, but the next second their hearts are like a roller coaster. From the bottom to the top, and then to the bottom again. Star-Lord woke up and pulled the trigger on Egg, but the latter directly summoned a thick blue tentacle and pierced Star-Lord's body. The sound of piercing the chest sounded. Countless people were still excited just now. The next second, he was frozen in place. Hear this sound. My heart also trembled suddenly, as if it had been pierced by a knife. They all fell into despair. The gap between the two of them is really too huge. Star-Lord can't defeat Ego at all. Yeah. On this planet, Ego is the master, not to mention that Star-Lord's power also comes from him, so he can't defeat him. And where are Gamora and the others? Someone come and save him. He finally became a hero. I want to see him become a chivalrous and righteous thief in the entire universe. Wait. Look. What is that? Just when countless people were extremely disappointed. A barrage instantly attracted their attention. Suddenly, his eyes widened, his mouth opened, and he stared blankly at the video. I saw Ego destroying Star-Lord's Walkman and constantly absorbing his energy. Just as he was about to start his plan, the door is broken open, Gamora and others broke in. At the same time, the camera moved to the skylight above. When a spaceship comes into view, the whole universe is boiling. Yondu. He is coming to save Star-Lord. Ali Yondu. From today on he is my hero. Countless people just feel short of breath and their blood is boiling. They even want to shout that sentence. Predators never fight alone. Because they are a big family. So they all looked forward to how Yondu, Star-Lord and the others could stop this god. Can this cosmic crisis be prevented? Factory 124. Patricide. Yondu's love. No, he actually just wants the god gene in me. It's so abominable. Inside the prison. At this moment, Star-Lord's face showed a look of horror and disbelief. The moment he saw Egg, he thought he finally had someone to rely on and no one would bully or abuse him again. There was even a little blame in his heart for why Yondu didn't hand himself over to Egg earlier, but he didn't understand until this moment. It turns out that this so-called father is just sowing seeds everywhere, just to breed offspring with god genes. If he doesn't succeed, like the other brothers and sisters, they have become skeletons. How could this not make him angry? At this time, a penetrating sound resounded throughout the prison. Star-Lord and others who were watching the video were shocked. They all fixed their gazes on the video. When they saw the blue tentacle piercing their chests, their hearts trembled suddenly, and they were suddenly filled with despair and regret. It's over. It seems you are going to be used as a battery rocket. Raccoon exclaimed. He looked at Star-Lord on the side. I felt very sorry for him. Not only did his father personally cause his mother's death, he also used him as a battery to destroy the entire universe. No, his plan will never succeed. Yondu will definitely come to save me. Rocket. Raccoon was heard sighing. Star-Lord didn't show any disappointment. Instead, his eyes were bright and clear. He believes that his guy will definitely show up in times of crisis like always, because predators never act alone. Boom. Just when Star-Lord said these words in the video, a spaceship suddenly appeared. He suddenly broke through the skylight of 620 and bombarded Ego. Saving Star-Lord, really? Just like everyone thought. That Yondu who yells about killing Star-Lord every day will appear every time in times of crisis. The smoke and dust cleared away, and countless rubble scattered in all directions at this critical moment. Gamora helped Star-Lord and everyone came to the spacecraft. Prepare to escape from here. But at this moment. The background music suddenly became terrifying, as if the door was closed when they were about to walk out of the door, which made countless people's excitement rise to their throats in an instant. I saw the moment the spacecraft started. Several blue energy tentacles wrapped it tightly around it. Then pull it down suddenly, but fortunately, it took some manipulation. They finally flew out. However, what is puzzling is that they did not fly upward to escape the planet, but downward. What's the meaning? Wait, what are they doing? Aren't they flying up and escaping from the planet? Yeah, what are they doing flying down? Could it be that the thrusters have failed? No. Have you forgotten what Star-Lord is now? He is a superhero. He is a superhero who saves the world in the universe. He wants to destroy this planet and his father are. Holy crap. Now I finally understand why this title is called Father is Kind and Son is Filial. This son is so damn filial. Awesome. Sure enough, Star-Lord is different from the Star-Lord we knew before. I hope he can really destroy this disgusting guy. Then all the extended roots he planted in the universe will be gone. Yes. Come on Star-Lord. Come on, Star-Lord. I will work hard. Thank you everyone for your support. I believe I will definitely kill this terrible old man. Countless people were extremely excited. Unexpectedly, Star-Lord would not think of escaping in such a critical moment. Instead, he worries about the entire universe. Just like the author said. Star-Lord is also a superhero. That's right. At times like this, superheroes will fight against the crowd. What's more, there is a superhero group by his side. Video continues. I saw Yondu and Star-Lord driving the spacecraft, constantly using lasers to cut the ground, and rushed straight into the interior of the planet. Looks like we have to save the galaxy again. Rocket. Raccoon roared excitedly. From the guy who always didn't care about other people. Became immersed in saving the galaxy. It also made people excited. Soon. Then they saw that they had arrived at the core of the planet. As long as this core is destroyed, Ed can be killed. With high-pitched music playing. Countless people felt their blood boiling, staring excitedly at the people in the video, and saw Rocket Raccoon concentrating the laser transmitters together, and then launched a concentrated beam containing terrifying energy, continuously bombarding the core. But 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds passed. Chapter 205. People froze in place. His expression seemed to solidify as well. They found that the core was also too thick. The beam cannot penetrate at all, even if it breaks down. I don't know how long it will take. Holy shit, it's been a waste of time to make me happy. Is this core so thick? At this rate, it might take a long time. Right, don't worry, they have plenty of time. If every drop of water breaks through the stone, they will definitely succeed. But they seem to have run out of time. See this scene. Many people think they can be successful by just spending a little time. But when a barrage attracted them at the same time. The camera also moved from the spaceship to the distance. When countless densely packed spaceships came into people's sight. Countless people took a breath of cold air. Their hearts trembled suddenly, and goosebumps stood up all over their bodies. It seems like he really doesn't have time for this. It's over. This time it's really over. Not only Egg, but also the people who are chasing them. This time it's really over. Ego should be able to find them in a few minutes. What should we do? You can only trust Star-Lord. Don't forget that he can also control the energy of this planet. Sadness. Worry. When the music sounds like piano. Countless people feel extremely heavy in their hearts. I saw the screen change. When Yondu and Nebula cooperated to destroy all the chasing warships. Egg's tentacles are everywhere. No matter how hard they resisted. They can't escape the ending of being entangled. It made countless people feel as if their hearts were being grabbed by a huge palm. Their breathing was stagnant at this moment. A chill shot straight from their backs to the sky, and they felt a huge sense of oppression. This is the god Ego. This is the master of this planet. I said, I don't want to do it alone. You can't refuse the purpose of your life given by the universe. It doesn't have to be this way, Peter. Why are you ruining our chances? Stop denying your identity. You are a billionaire. The only sign of all, and even more. How could life have a greater meaning? Egg walked towards Star-Lord step by step point, and the tentacles also penetrated Star-Lord's body one by one point. Every penetration point it is as painful as a knife thrust into the heart of everyone watching the video. The gap between them can only be described as insurmountable, and Star-Lord's eyes in the video gradually became dull, as if he was controlled by ego again. It looks like there is no way to win, but people who are watching the video still feel that a miracle will happen. As for why point, that's because Yondu is by his side. This guy can always save Star-Lord from danger. At this time, in their expectant eyes, Yondu, who was suppressed on the side, struggled to say the last words. I don't control arrows with my head. Boy, I control arrows with my heart. Be attentive. When Yondu said these words, the translucent screen appears again. Point, it's like a memory of Star-Lord. Point, lying on the lawn with my mother and listening to songs, playing with the Guardians of the Galaxy, killing evil, and Yondu with his beloved Gamora, who always protects him. Every scene was like a reassurance, making his heart extremely determined. His eyes became determined. Point, clenched fists. Immediately afterwards, an unknown hurricane seemed to have appeared in the surroundings, rolling up countless gravel and sand, creating a powerful aura. At this time point, the background music gradually ignited, like a long sleeping volcano suddenly erupting, causing the whole world to tremble. All the viewers who were watching the video stood up one after another. Their pupils expanded sharply, and their breathing became rapid, as if every part of their body was shaking. Every pore is emitting heat, excitement, and excitement. It's exactly what they thought. Star-Lord can definitely stand up. I will never admit defeat. Because he is a superhero. Because his real family is right beside him. You shouldn't have killed my mother and crushed my Walkman. Star-Lord gritted his teeth and growled. Point, then he poured all the energy into his right foot and then released it in one breath. After stamping on the ground under his feet, a huge spider web crack was created, and then it flew out like a cannonball and flew towards Legion among the lightning and flint. In front of him, he grabbed his neck with both hands and flew out together. Boom. Boom boom. The astonishing sound of impact kept resounding, and I saw that Yago, driven by Star-Lord, kept crashing through huge rocks one after another. Countless gravel and dust were scattered everywhere, and finally hit the wall with a bang. And under Star-Lord's sudden attack, Ego's head was constantly smashed through, revealing blue energy lines 0. See this scene. Point, countless people took a breath of cold air. They have never seen Star-Lord like this before. As expected, the father is kind and the son is filial. The title is so right. It's true that a father is kind and his son is filial. Star-Lord just hit his own father on the head with a stone, showing no mercy, but I like it. Hahaha, it's so exciting. I always thought that Star-Lord couldn't fight, but now I realize that I was wrong. But he fought well. But this can't kill Ego, right? The most important thing is the core, right? Boom. Yes, this won't kill Egg. The expressions of countless people were frozen, and their hearts suddenly trembled twice, and then seemed to stop. Point, I couldn't help but start to worry. Point, if the core cannot be destroyed. Point, even if Star-Lord fights fiercely. Point, it's useless too. However, just when everyone was thinking about how they would destroy the core, the camera cuts to the inside of the core. Point, when a small figure comes into people's eyes, the eyes of everyone watching the video in the entire universe light up. It started boiling up. It's Groot. It's little Groot. It's true as the raccoon said. Groot can't die. He's grown so big now. But does he know how to detonate a bomb? It should be, I guess. It should know which is a delayed explosion and which is an instant explosion, right? Gudang. Point, countless people swallowed hard. Point, I was still excited and happy just a second ago. Point, he froze in the next second. Point, because little Groot doesn't look very smart. She looks quite cute. Point, I just don't know if it will detonate a bomb. If you choose to explode instantly. Point, that's more than it is everyone else is done, so they can only pray. Point, Groot is able to make the right choices. The background music becomes soothing. Point, it made countless people even more nervous looking at Groot in the video. Everyone wants to help him set up bombs. When they see Groot placing the bomb on the core. Point, I was even more nervous to the extreme. I prayed in my heart that it would never press the button on the far right. Once pressed, they will all die. At this moment Groot's two big eyes were round, as if he was thinking about what to do. Just when he reached out and wanted to press the button on the right, the whole universe went silent. The faces of countless people were frozen. There are even people who are praying that they will die without pain, but at this moment, accompanied by the music, it suddenly soared. Groot's finger stopped 1 centimeter in front of the momentary button. Chapter 206. Then he suddenly turned and selected the delay button on the left. 1.3 Groot. You're going to scare me to death. Left. It's actually the left. I almost thought they were all going to die here. From today on, Groot is my hero. Thor. No. Groot is my hero. Countless people raised their arms and shouted. Now all he has to do is wait for the bomb to explode and Egg will be finished. Video continues after Groot sets the bomb. Rocket Raccoon took him to Yondu's side and reminded Yondu, we are going to explode. Get aboard. We can't leave Quill behind. You still have to take care of the twigs. Do not know why. Novel exchange group. 7,026,220. Rocket Raccoon seemed to hear a feeling of parting. So he replied lowly, I can't leave you alone. I've never done a few good things in my life. Rat, let me do this one. Yondu finished. And Rocket Raccoon looked at each other. Suddenly everyone watching the video had a bad premonition. Yondu him what to do. They don't know. Rocket Raccoon seemed to understand what Yondu meant. Took out 2 devices and warned, a spacesuit and a flight device. I only have one. Finished. Rocket Raccoon and Yondu stared at each other again for several seconds. When the former wanted to leave, he paused again, as if he would never see him again. See here. Everyone watching the video was happy for Groot just a second ago. Now, when I heard Yondu's answer, it was like saying goodbye forever. His expression instantly froze, and he was silent and choked with sobs. They seemed to have anticipated what Yondu meant by doing good deeds. 125. Predator Funeral. 7th. If all the Avengers die. Deng deng. Deng deng deng. The soft sound of piano sounded just like the cry of whales in the deep sea. The hearts of countless people seemed to have sunk to the bottom of the sea. No one spoke. The excitement just now completely disappeared. They looked at this blue-skinned man quietly, with sadness, surprise, unwillingness, and frustration in their eyes, but mostly with high respect. Whether Quill is Star-Lord or T'Challa is Star-Lord. This man treated them very harshly every time, even shouting that he was going to be killed in order to maintain his image in front of the crew. But every time Star-Lord breaks the rules of the Reavers, he can find reasons to excuse Star-Lord. I don't even want to take risks, but one word from Star-Lord can make him soften. Why? Because he thinks Star-Lord is his child. Because he feels that Star-Lord is the family he found while wandering the universe. That's why he always said he could never refuse Star-Lord. That's why he goes out of his way to save Star-Lord every time. Even if this is the case, he also told the raccoon without hesitation that he wanted to do a good deed. As for what this good thing is, then of course it will be like before, Lord Savior. But this time he knew exactly what the price of saving Star-Lord would be. That is to die by oneself. Sad and dignified. When the violin sounds, it was like rain pouring into everyone's eyes. Want to close tightly. But it hurts so much. Video continues when Rocket Raccoon leaves on the other side. Star-Lord and Ego were also fighting fiercely, and finally both fell to the ground. The background music stopped abruptly. The only sound in the entire video is the bomb countdown. At this moment Egg panicked. He grabbed Star-Lord and said, no. Stop. Listen. Listen to me. You are a god. If you kill me, you will be like everyone else. What's wrong with that? When Star-Lord replied like this, countless people stood up one after another. There was respect in his eyes. Once upon a time. He is also a petty thief who focuses on his own interests, but now he is a superhero who would rather give up the power of the gods and protect the galaxy to the death. How could he not be respected? Under the respectful and shocked eyes of countless people, the bomb exploded with a bang, like a volcanic eruption, with the nerve center as the center. The fire spread continuously and swept into the sky, and the thick smoke billowed like a tsunami, overwhelming the sky and rolling away in all directions. Countless broken boulders mixed with flames fell from the sky. Under Star-Lord's gaze, Ego in front of him also turned into dust, and the power in his body dissipated. The whole scene can only be described as shocking. However, at the moment, when the boulder was about to hit Star-Lord, a blue figure suddenly appeared, hugged him tightly, and flew straight into the sky. That's right, it's Yondu. He may be your biological father, child, but he is not your father, Yondu. And Star-Lord looked at each other and said, the words were filled with love for Star-Lord. As they kept flying upwards, the translucent screen appears again. Scene after scene flashed through what Yondu did for Star-Lord, including every time he helped Star-Lord exonerate himself, including when he was betrayed by his crew and almost died because of Star-Lord, and even when he was disliked by other predators. Seeing this scene after scene, people's eyes were red. Only now do they realize that Yondu has done much more for Star-Lord than they imagined. Yes, maybe Ego is Star-Lord's biological father, but Star-Lord's real father is Yondu. It's accompanied by sad, soft music. Yondu and Star-Lord flew higher and higher. It's like counting down again. Only this time, it's the countdown to death. Maybe it's because Yondu knows his end. He did not hide his feelings for Star-Lord and continued, I'm so sorry that I didn't do anything right. I'm so lucky that you are my child. Finished. Yondu fit his spacesuit onto Star-Lord's body. The two passed through the atmosphere together and headed straight into space. Yondu, what are you doing? No. Yondu, Star-Lord panicked and tried to take off the spacesuit instruments, but he couldn't take them off because he lost his strength. White spots began to appear on Yondu's face in front of him, and they became more and more numerous, causing the hearts of countless viewers watching the video to break piece by piece. Accompanied by sad background music. Just like Star-Lord in the video, tears fell down. Star-Lord once almost died trying to save Gamora. But Yondu saves him. But this time, who can save Yondu? Chapter 207. No miracles this time. I saw Yondu holding Star-Lord's head tightly with both hands. He seemed to have 1,000 words to say, but he couldn't say a word. Even though his eyelids were heavy, he used his last bit of strength just to take one more look at Star-Lord. If you could speak, he must want to say, Kit, I'm proud of you. The most right thing I did in my life was not to send you to that guy, but to stay with me until the music becomes extremely tragic. Yondu finally became stiff and lost his breath. Star-Lord let go of his hands in tears, silent and choked. Countless people stood up straight. It's like paying tribute to the departure of a hero. They all fell silent. The scene changes. Star-Lord and others are preparing for Yondu's funeral. It's a pity for people. As for the first two funerals, the funeral this time was very simple. It's like a hero saved the world in obscurity, but died alone. Peter, the captain, found this for you in a thrift store and said you would come back one day. Just after putting Yondu into the incinerator, Yondu's closest crew member called out to Star-Lord and handed something to him. When the camera zooms in on Star-Lord's palm, countless people felt warm in their hearts. Not something. Exactly a Walkman. I saw Star-Lord sitting in his seat, randomly choosing a song to play. As he looked, Yondu was lying quietly in the colorful flames, and then turned into countless photons, floating towards universe. Quiet and gentle. People watching the video closed their eyes. Blessings and prayers for this hero. But just when they were immersed in sadness, the background music suddenly became powerful and majestic, like thousands of troops rushing thousands of miles away, making countless people's hearts beat to the rhythm. People who had bowed their heads in silent prayer suddenly raised their heads and shifted their gaze to the dimensional platform. When 1, 2, 3, countless spaceships appeared on the screen, their eyes widened, their faces were full of shock and excitement, and goosebumps all over their bodies stood up. Because these spaceships are none other than Yondu's former friends. It's a predator's funeral. When Star-Lord said these words very excited. Apparently those marauders never abandoned Yondu, always treat him like family. Boom boom boom. Countless fireworks bloom in this quiet space. The scene is extremely grand and magnificent. These fireworks are blooming for today's hero Yondu. He didn't let the predators down. He didn't let them down. He deserves this funeral. The other side. Inside the ship headed by the predator. He did not fail us after all, Captain. When the crew said this, Yondu's former friend replied, "Yeah, Kit, he didn't." Then they hit their hearts with their right hands heavily at the same time, which represented their high respect for Yondu. Another ship. Still Yondu's old friend. Farewell, old friend. A group of people in yellow uniforms also hammered their right hands hard on their hearts to show respect. Yondu, you don't. We will meet again among the stars. One ship after another, everyone is showing their respect for Yondu. Countless viewers watching the video burst into tears. Although Yondu always likes to yell at people, always loves to speak harshly, but did the predators abandon him? No. They all showed up at Yondu's funeral, and in their minds, Yondu was a hero, the pride of their predators. It is the pride of the universe. When the sentry arrows were still shuttling, and countless old friends were still standing. The person watching the video also hit his heart hard with his right fist. Watch the hero go. At this time. The ending song sounds, and the camera came to the inside of Star-Lord's spaceship, and looked out. The predators' spaceship is still shooting out colorful lights, and in the vast universe in the middle, a huge whistle arrow drags the light, shuttles throughout the space, accompanied by the colorful brilliance, giving people's vision, and it brought a huge shock to the soul. This prosperous sages as Yondu wishes. The Star-Lord chapter is officially over. When the sound comes, the picture is also frozen in this shocking scene. But people have not yet broken free from this emotion. After all, it's hard for anyone to accept Yondu's death, but they know that even if they don't die this time, the next time Star-Lord encounters this situation again, Yondu will still resolutely choose to sacrifice himself. I cried while watching this part. Yondu was not abandoned. This is the funeral of the predator. He did not let the predator down. He deserves this funeral. When people no longer have the words to express the emotions in their hearts, Star-Lord inside the prison on the other side also burst into tears. He couldn't imagine it. It turned out that Yondu, who was always threatening him with 620 and seemed very selfish, actually did so much for him. And what did he do? Want to sell the cosmic spirit ball privately, betrayed Yondu and other predators again and again. He feels very guilty now. Don't be sad. At least he wants to do something good just like you. Gamora gently placed her hand on Star-Lord. Obviously her view of the guy in front of her has undergone a qualitative change. Not only dare to sacrifice himself. Even in the face of powerful forces, he did not lose himself. Doubts about him being a superhero have also disappeared. He indeed deserves this title. Wait. We have to get out of here right now. I can't let that guy find me. Just when Gamora thought Star-Lord was still in sadness, he looked panicked and looked like he was ready to run away. And hearing his words, others also realized something immediately. They can see the video. Then how could Star-Lord not see his biological father, Ego? And with that kind of absolute power, 10 prisons are not enough for them to hide. So the most important thing now is to get out of here quickly. HMPH. Quill, just leave it to me. I've already prepared it. Rocket. Raccoon grinned. Ready to move. And Groot on the side also shouted the words he could only say. It means that it is also ready. But at this moment an exclamation came from the prison, which immediately attracted their attention. Look. The 7th world. It's actually like this. When people focused their attention on the video. I saw a scrolling subtitle firmly attracting their attention. The New World of the 7th Dimensional Universe, Avengers Chapter. If all the members of the first generation of Avengers die. Chapter 208. Boom, boom, boom. When people see this title there was a look of horror on his face. They couldn't imagine it. The 7th New World is actually like this. All the members of the first generation of Avengers died. Holy shit, what happened? Countless people were fidgeting anxiously, breathing rapidly, and their hearts felt like huge waves had set off, and they couldn't calm down for a long time. Crazy to know what happened that led to the death of all members of the original Avengers. And what will happen after they die? Point 126. Iron Man is dead? Question mark. Natasha is the murderer. Shock, speechless, the entire universe has fallen into a sluggish state. They never thought that the new world of the 7th dimensional universe would be like this. It's beyond imagination. What the hell? I thought the world behind would be the same as before, with the hero becoming another person, but you told me that the Avengers are all dead. Are you kidding me? They are all dead. What happened? Why did they die? I remember that they gathered at the beginning to deal with Loki. Could it be that Loki succeeded in this world? It's very possible. I think the Loki in this world is definitely much better than the Loki in the previous video. At this moment the hearts of countless people were beating like crazy waves, and their whole bodies were trembling crazily. They never imagined that in this world, all the Avengers would die, and he also realized that the first generation of Avengers gathered for the Battle of New York to fight against Loki and the army he led, so they all thought that Loki should win this time. 9 realms Asgard at this time. In the entire hall, the gods turned their attention to Loki. Their eyes were full of awe. Ever since Loki got his reward, no one dared to laugh at him. Could it be that in that world, did Loki really succeed? Did he succeed in killing all the Avengers? That's most likely the case. Don't forget how much Loki wanted to kill them during the Battle of New York. Unexpectedly, this time, he actually succeeded. The gods were discussing and Loki heard this. He also raised his head proudly. Look around like a king. It was as if he was the lord of the entire 9 realms. Then he fixed his gaze on Thor, god of thunder, and chuckled. This time, just watch me rule the earth. Although I don't care about the throne, ruling a place is pretty good. When I think about it, Loki, maybe some other accident caused their death, and I will definitely stop you. Thor is not as knowledgeable as Loki. He knew that Loki wanted to rule the earth for more than a day or two. And he believed that he would stick an instrument to his mouth, like what was shown in the previous video, and then take him back to Asgard. Just watch carefully. I, Loki, am the god of trickery. Those mortals will surely surrender to me. There was a hint of pride in Loki's eyes. He immediately shifted his attention to the dimensional platform. Looking forward to what the new world will be like this time. The other side. Earth. S. H. I. E. L. D. At this moment Tony Stark came here with his Optimus Prime and explained to them the role of the Iron Legion. Not only can it be used to maintain daily security. It can also be used to resist foreign enemy invasion at critical moments. The idea has support from others. This way, even if that weak god comes here, we will be able to resist. On the open ground. Banner stood next to Optimus Prime. His eyes were full of envy. I even wish I could have a transformer that could turn into a car and a robot. Don't underestimate that weak god. The ability he has gained cannot be underestimated. If you look at him in close combat, no matter who you are, you may die at any time. Tony Stark is preoccupied. Even though he has made many steel armors, but he always felt it was not enough. Even after Loki gained that ability. He started to worry even more. I have been trying to simulate how the Avengers would react if Loki suddenly came to Earth, but at this moment Vision on the side said, look at the dimensional platform. The title of the next video has been released. When Vision's words just finished. The huge screen switched from the deployment of steel armor to the dimensional platform. And when they saw the scrolling subtitles, there was a look of horror and disbelief on his face. My heart felt like it was being pinched by an invisible hand. My breathing was rapid, my whole body was trembling uncontrollably, and a chill shot straight from my back to Shinlinge. They were just worried about how to protect the entire Earth. Now you tell me, all the members of the first generation of Avengers died? Although it is what happened in another world, but they have only seen the death of Iron Man, but never their own death. Banner, Black Widow, Hawkeye and others looked at each other. Then he turned his attention to Nick Fury. Obviously. The so-called first generation members on the subtitles. These were the first few chosen by Nick Fury when he formulated the Avengers plan. It's them. It seems that the new world is really unexpected. If my guess is correct, then it is very likely that Loki won this battle. Nick Fury crossed his fingers, his eyes flashed. And his words also made Tony Stark tremble in his heart. Whatever you worry about comes to you. That's right. They had seen it in previous videos. It's Because Loki invaded Earth. Nick Fury brought them together and now everyone is dead. It was most likely Loki who did it. The thought of this, Tony Stark clenched his fists, wishing he could go back and build a more powerful mecha now. Let Loki never come back. In an instant. They all looked at the dimensional platform. The sense of anticipation is overwhelming at this moment. Want to know what happened in the new world that caused them all to die. Time passed by minute. Just when everyone in the universe wants to know what happened in the new world. New videos when there is no time prompt. It has been uploaded to the dimensional platform. See this scene. Countless people's faces were full of excitement and excitement. You know, there was a time when they stayed up all day just waiting for the video. And now, so efficient, the author bullfrog, he is finally willing to be a human being. I almost cried with excitement. Chapter 209. You know, a few days ago I stayed up all day and all night just to wait for a video from him. Now I finally don't have to wait. There shouldn't be anything happier than this, right? I will never scold the author again. I really will never scold him again. This dog author really knows how to edit videos. That's right. It's really a mouth-watering one. Countless people clicked the video like crazy. Can't wait to know if Loki won and killed the Avengers as they suspected. The sense of anticipation and curiosity is rising crazily at this moment. Keep your eyes fixed on the dimensional platform. Finally. The video begins. Soft, soothing music plays. Like all videos, let them calm down their restless hearts first. After about 5 seconds the screen appears. A car was driving on the road. Wherever he passed, yellow sand filled the sky, sweeping towards both sides of the driveway. It's different from what everyone imagined. They thought that at the beginning of the video, they would see the same wormhole as in the previous video. This also makes people more curious. Who is in this car? And where is it going? When the camera slowly zooms into the car, it dawned on them. It turns out that sitting inside is Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Natasha, the superhero who sacrificed herself for the Soul Gem. It's strange. Logically speaking, as long as the video is related to the Battle of New York, the author will usually play the wormhole. After all, it still feels very oppressive when I think about it now. Yes, I'm very surprised too. And where are Nick Fury and Natasha going now? Isn't Natasha still alive and well? Could it be that the development of this new world is different from what we imagined? I'm not sure. I think I have to watch it to find out. Countless people are very confused. But I could only hold back my restless heart and watch quietly. Want to know what Nick Fury and Natasha are up to? I once had an idea, which was to assemble a team, elite, see if they can go beyond their limits. At this moment. Car interior. When Nick Fury hadn't finished speaking. Natasha on the side leaned against the car window boredly and took his words. Then he looked at Nick Fury helplessly and said, I know, I heard a speech. Then, you know what's at stake, Nick. Fury is serious. He had made this plan long ago. Only now he has found the right person. However, I heard Nick Fury's words. Natasha looked very puzzled, then sighed, looked up as if she rolled her eyes and said, so I'm surprised that you want to block the future of the Avengers project on that guy. Natasha just finished speaking. The camera followed her gaze to the giant donut above the outside of the car. However, when the figure on the donut comes into view. The whole universe was shocked, because that is the most unexpected, the most touching, and the most unforgettable Iron Man before Tony Stark. Finally, I saw him again. How could it not be surprising? How can it not be exciting? Iron Man. It's Iron Man. The guy with the warm heart. Finally, I saw him again. Seeing that he was still alive, I burst into tears for some reason. I feel so missed. Yes, he is still the same as before. If possible, I would really like to say a long time no see to him. However, looking at his self-defeating look, if I'm not wrong, it must have been the time when he was poisoned by element and almost died. Right, so Nick Fury is coming here now, probably because he wants him to join the Avengers? Then the battle in New York is probably not far away. At This moment I saw Tony Stark wearing a steel suit and sunglasses, sitting on a giant donut and eating donuts, looking like he was giving up on himself. See this scene. Everyone understood. Now Nick Fury wants to recruit Iron Man as a member of the Avengers, and now the reason why Iron Man gives up on himself is because he is poisoned by element and his life is not long. But people also know what happened next. Tony Stark plays video on demand from his father's legacy. New element were created. Solved this problem. And during the Battle of New York, he rushed into a wormhole and almost sacrificed himself. At this time when the camera cuts back to the car again faced with Natasha's helpless look Nick Fury replied, "Stark may have a bad temper, but he has potential." The words just fell. When Nick Fury was about to get off the car, the extremely smooth transition appears again. The moment the car door is opened Nick Fury was already seated in the store with Tony Stark. At the same time, rock music played in the background, symbolizing the use of huge noise to bury the pain in the heart, causing countless people to turn their attention to Tony Stark again. That's right. His temper is a bit weird, as Nick Fury said. But they know that this guy will definitely join the Avengers. "I told you, I have no intention of joining your mysterious boy band. No, I remember you did things your own way. Did you get the desired result?" Nick Fury said, pointing at Iron Man's neck. The camera zooms in. It can be seen that the toxins have filled the blood vessels, showing a sickly green color, which makes countless people feel trembling in their hearts when they see this scene. It's hard not to imagine how painful this chronic death was for Tony Stark. However, he always spoke harshly and never acknowledged his situation. Not the worst. Tony Stark took a sip of coffee. Don't take Nick Fury's words to heart. See this scene. Nick Fury hasn't given up on Tony Stark. "You have become one of the problems I want to solve once, and the entire universe does not revolve around you, so do it." Finished. Natasha, on the side, inserted the needle she had prepared long ago directly into Tony Stark's neck. The movement was so clean that even Tony Stark didn't even have time to react before it was completed. It wasn't until a second later that he exclaimed, "What did she do to me?" "It's what we did for you. It's lithium dioxide, which can relieve your pain." Here, the words of Nick Fury. Only then did those who were watching the video understand that this guy who looked like a braised egg was actually trying to relieve the pain of Iron Man's poisoning. I couldn't help but feel more favorable towards him. But at this moment the music is suddenly shocking. It was like the earth was falling apart, causing goosebumps to stand up on countless people's nerves. They looked at the video in a panic, as if something extremely terrifying had happened. I saw Tony Stark in the video wanting to say something, but he still couldn't muster the energy. Instead of relieving the pain, as Nick Fury said, he frowned tightly. "Stark, are you okay?" Just when Nick Fury asked anxiously, the hearts of countless people also jumped to their throats. They all held their breath and concentrated. Completely have no idea what happened. But the next second, in their shocked and disbelieving eyes, Tony Stark lost his strength and fell to the ground. After Natasha's diagnosis, he was dead. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people stared at this scene in stunned silence. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. My heart was beating like 1,000 waves. What happened? Didn't it say it was an injection to relieve pain? Why is Tony Stark dead? County. When the camera zoomed in on Natasha, a terrifying thought popped up in the minds of countless people. Could it be that Natasha killed her? Point 127. Stanley reappears. Thor is dead. Holy shit. What happened? Why is Tony dead? Didn't you agree to relieve the pain? You just sent him away. What's going on? There is only one truth, and that is that Natasha killed him. After all, the needle was always in her hand. But why did Natasha kill Tony? Perhaps she thinks Tony Stark is not worthy of that brat betting the future of the Avengers on him. Don't forget what the author said. A small move may lead to a new world. When The camera zooms in on Natasha. The expressions of countless people became solemn. That's right. They remember what the author said before. A small gesture can make a whole world of difference. Although this time the author did not tell them what exactly has changed in the world. But when they saw this scene. It has been speculated that Natasha may have changed. Then triggered a series of disasters. How could I kill Tony Stark? This is impossible. At this time inside SHIELD Natasha exclaimed. Obviously he couldn't believe that he would do such a thing. Although she doesn't agree with Nick Fury betting the future of the Avengers on this playboy. But you won't kill him with your own hands, right? For her, a senior agent, it's absolutely impossible. I died again. Hell, I still died by your hands, Tony. Stark covered his mouth with his right hand. A look of astonishment. He thought he could fight that weak god in this world. Who would have thought that he would die as soon as he appeared? Still died in Natasha's hands. How could this not surprise him? See this scene. Nick Fury frowned. Although it looks like Natasha killed Tony Stark in the picture. But as the director of SHIELD, his observation skills are not limited. It was immediately obvious that this was a frame up. Only, the needle was always on Natasha's body. How did Stark die? He doesn't have an answer yet. 623. But he knew that his self in another world was also aware of this problem. Video continues when Natasha revealed Tony Stark's death. The beautiful face turned pale instantly. My heart skipped a beat. I understood instantly. There was something wrong with the injection I gave Tony Stark just now. So she slowly raised her head and looked at Nick Fury beside her. The latter also frowned. I sense a huge conspiracy, but as the director of SHIELD just in time to take advantage of this opportunity. Let Natasha investigate in secret. The background music became soothing and sharp, making countless people's goosebumps stand up. It was as if they were sneaking in the dark night. They were highly focused and did not miss any detail. Soon SHIELD sent someone to arrest Natasha. And when he was about to take her away. Nick Fury dismissed the others. Ask for 1 minute to talk. Not me. Natasha had nothing to say. There is nothing to explain. There is only one sentence. Nick Fury also sighed and replied, I know, but SHIELD has guidelines and I have to take you back. No, you can't lock me up like this. Just what I wanted. Someone in SHIELD has touched Stark's antidote. I need someone outside the agency to find out who that person is. When Nick Fury said these words, people watching the video breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out that the murderer was not Natasha. Luckily it's not Natasha. I thought her image was going to be shattered. Damn. Guy, we must catch him. He actually killed my favorite Iron Man. He even framed Natasha. If I catch him, I will cut him into pieces. HMPH. Natasha will definitely live up to our expectations, and she will definitely be able to catch the real murderer. Maybe they are people from Hydra. The current SHIELD should have been infiltrated by Hydra. 9 times out of 10, it's them. It makes sense. If you want to destroy SHIELD, you must kill all the superheroes first. It seems that we all thought wrong. It was not Loki who killed them. Wow, this suspense is too great. If there is a twist later, then I will really curse. Twists and turns. The target of people's speculation shifted directly from Loki to Hydra. In their impression. Only people from Hydra would do this. However, some people vaguely guessed that there would definitely be a reversal later. It's even more exciting at this moment. Can't wait to know the answer. Who on earth killed Tony Stark? Do you really want to risk trusting me again? This is the safest decision. At this moment. Nick Fury watched Natasha get into the specially escorted car. Got a call. It belongs to another agent under his command, Coulson. At this time. The background music became extremely cheerful and lively. It caught countless people off guard. Just now I was nervously guessing who the real murderer was. As a result, the music immediately made them excited. I can't help but wonder what happened when the picture lifts from Nick Fury to the sky. When it lands again, another place appears viewed from a distance. A huge pit caught people's eyes. It's even more curious, how did this happen? However, when the camera zooms into the center of the pit. Everyone who was watching the video gasped, because in the center of the pit is Thor's hammer. Thor's hammer? Good guy. If I remember correctly, Odin threw it down. It should not only be Thor's hammer, but also Thor. I still remember him roaring in the rainy night, unable to lift the hammer. It seems that people in this area are attracted to the hammer, but they don't seem to know yet that they can't lift the hammer. Countless people remembered being in the Thor video. Thor was demoted to mortal form and came to Earth together with Mjolnir, and they also knew that Odin issued a spell to this Mjolnir. Only those who are worthy can lift Mjolnir, so they watched the people in the video as if they were watching a play, eager to lift the hammer. Hey, try harder. Chapter 211. It's useless. This hammer is too heavy. Many people are ready to make a move. Try them one after another. There were even people driving pickup trucks with ropes tied to hammers. In video. Those people held their breath. Expect this car to pull the hammer out of the park. But I never expected it. Boom. When the car suddenly starts, the trunk lid with the rope attached to it was pulled right off. Did I succeed here? This sound. The driver stuck his head out and asked excitedly, but was laughed at mercilessly by the people around him. However, when the person watching the video sees who the driver is, they were all extremely shocked. Holy shit. Stanley. It's Stanley. Stan Lee. It's really Stanley. He's here too. What a guy. Hiss. I didn't expect that he would not only appear in our real world, but also appear in new worlds that may appear in the future. Sure enough, as the author said, Stanley is everywhere. Seeing Stanley again, countless people's faces were first filled with excitement and then shock. They never thought that Stanley would actually appear in the new world in the future. I couldn't help but feel a chill running down my spine and numbness in my scalp. A very amiable old man on the surface. No one would have thought that he is the creator of this universe. If not the author, maybe they also foolishly think that Stanley is a funny old man. But before they could react from the shock, the background music suddenly changes from cheerful to tight and urgent. Black cars came one after another from all directions, instantly surrounding the place and driving away the spectators. Apparently the vision here was also captured by SHIELD and built one small shed after another for experiments. I want to know the origin of this hammer that fell from the sky. Boom. Thunder rolls. Time came tonight in a blink of an eye. And Nick Fury also came here, standing in front of Thor's hammer with Hawkeye to understand the situation. Currently, we only know that it is extremely powerful and is an alien object. The electromagnetic waves, neutrons, and vitamin radiation are all off the charts. When Hawkeye said these words, thunder exploded, and a bolt of lightning covered the entire sky like a huge spider web. See this scene. Nick Fury said, that doesn't sound entirely bad. It's been like this all night. This artifact still has some temper. No one can lift it, not even Jason who plays fitness. If such a powerful item is missing, someone will definitely come looking for it. Nick Fury is thoughtful. A possibility immediately came to mind. This thing definitely did not appear on the earth out of thin air. There must be someone left behind. Naturally, it is impossible to let your own things stay here. So it will definitely be delivered to your door. And when Nick Fury finished speaking, the background music suddenly became terrifying. It made countless people's hearts tighten, and they even jumped back in fear, as if they were attacked from behind. I saw at the same time. The footage shows soldiers standing guard around the scene. However, the next second, a strong figure easily knocked out one after another. He rushed directly into the built shed. Under the light of lightning. The god of thunder rushed in with an irresistible attitude. Sir, someone invaded and injured many of our agents. What? Someone has to be watching from high altitude. Barton, the other side. When Nick Fury and Hawkeye were still praying that the owner of this item had better be an ally. Coulson's words directly shattered this idea. And immediately enter high alert, accompanied by tense music. Hawkeye also listens to Nick Fury's words. Stand above, draw your bow and arrow, and be ready to shoot the intruder at any time. Wow. The rain is getting heavier and heavier. All the viewers who are watching the video are getting more and more nervous. The death of Tony Stark, the last Iron Man, left a huge psychological shadow on them. It's hard not to worry at this moment whether Thor, god of thunder, will die here too. They stared at the screen, praying that it wouldn't happen. He's attacking the hammer. Prepare to kill with one arrow. Give the order, sir. Don't take action. I want to take a look at This time Thor rushed directly to Thor's hammer in the center, but because of Nick Fury's order, Barton did not take action. Instead, he drew his bow and arrow and waited for the order. In Nick Fury's mind, this guy invaded SHIELD on his own, and it was impossible for him to play house, so he was most likely the owner of this hammer. That's why Nick Fury asked Barton not to take action, so that he can learn about the origin of this hammer and its owner. Soon Thor walked towards Mjolnir step by step. His face was filled with a smile of reunion after a long absence. He was obviously very happy. This joy of regaining something was filling his whole body. That's why he was so impulsive. However, the moment Thor held Thor's hammer, the sound of lightning exploding sounded in the background music, as if it was resounding in the minds of countless people, making their hearts jump into their throats. I saw the camera looking at Patton in the sky from the side when lightning flashed across the sky. The bow and arrow in his hand also shot out at the same time, in the eyes of countless people in shock and disbelief. In a flash of lightning, he rushed in front of Thor, the god of thunder, and pierced his chest, killing him on the spot and falling to the ground. Boom, boom, boom. See this scene? Like a deep sea bomb. The explosion made people's heads buzz, and their hearts felt like a tsunami rising into the sky, surging crazily and with huge earthquakes, even though they were mentally prepared just now. Until the moment they actually saw the death of Thor, they were still shocked to the point of losing their composure, and some even exclaimed, because all of this seems so outrageous. Originally, they were still speculating that Hydra people were responsible for all this. After all, Natasha had learned from the past. But how to explain this time? The arrow in Hawkeye's hand was indeed fired by him. How to frame this? First Iron Man, then Thor, although it looks like Natasha and Hawkeye killed it. But the intuition of countless people is telling them that it is not them. But I can't find a reasonable explanation. The thought of this, countless people were trembling crazily all over, and their sense of anticipation was rising at this moment, as if there were ants crawling all over their hearts and bodies, and every place was itching. Their guesses were all wrong. We can only look forward to the following video giving them an explanation. What a perfect explanation. 128. Countless people are burning their brains. Natasha and the Hulk are in danger. 9 realms Asgard. At this time, the entire hall was silent. The faces of the gods were dull. They never expected it. Thor, the god of thunder, could resist a neutron star without dying. He was actually shot to death by an arrow. This scene was like a critical blow, hitting their hearts and shocking them extremely. Chapter 212. But fortunately, they remembered that they had seen it in the Thor video before. It was Odin who stripped him of his godhood and placed a spell on his hammer. Only then did he react from his daze. Am I actually dead? Or was I shot to death by an arrow? At this time, Thor exclaimed in surprise. He told Loki before that he could definitely save everyone in the Avengers, but who would have thought? He died the second time. This was like a hard slap on his face. It was so hot. So, who killed that playboy and you? It's really interesting. Loki smiled evilly. As the god of trickery. Can smell a strong smell of conspiracy. I couldn't help but have a huge interest in it, and I was very curious about how that person managed to kill these 2 guys with the help of others. At least he couldn't think of it yet. So he is looking forward to the following videos, which will give him more information. Not just everyone in Asgard. Countless viewers who were watching the video also had intense ideological collisions and started making crazy guesses. I thought it was someone from Hydra who framed them, but this time I watched Hawkeye shoot this arrow with my own eyes. What's going on? I knew it wasn't that simple. This dog author suspense setting techniques have been enhanced again. In just this little time, we have already guessed 3 people. I always feel that there is an invisible hand controlling everything. I feel that neither Iron Man nor Thor were killed by Natasha and Hawkeye. It's just that the murderer's methods are too hidden, and I can't notice it. Hiss. I can already feel a chill on my back. Goo darn countless People are becoming more and more clueless as they speculate. The more I guessed, the colder my back became. They all swallowed hard. His eyes were glued to the video. I want to know who will die next. The background music became extremely sad and depressing at this moment, and accompanied by the majestic rainstorm. It made people breathless the moment Thor fell. Nick Fury's one eye trembled, and he didn't expect Hawkeye to shoot Thor directly. Damn it. Didn't I tell you to hold it back? When he roared out. The agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were already standing below, raising their spears one after another. Suddenly, countless red dots were focused on Hawkeye, which was particularly dazzling in the darkness. It wasn't me, I swear. I really didn't launch it, Hawkeye explained with a solemn expression. As a professional agent, he knew there was no point in explaining too much. Nick Fury, who was below, also walked up to Thor, looked at the arrow stuck in his body, frowned and said, "But your arrows suggest otherwise." First Natasha, then Hawkeye. Every death looked like it was their own doing. But he knew it couldn't be them. It's just that he doesn't know how to find a reasonable explanation to convince other higher-ups not to arrest them. When the camera zooms in front of Hawkeye, the scene changes. He was already sitting in a transparent confinement room under strict supervision. Nick Fury and Coulson stood outside. Both of them looked serious. What about the intruder? Died. He is almost 1,000 years old and is not from Earth. First it was Stark, and then this bodybuilder. Our own agents killed 2 high-value targets within 24 hours. Coulson's voice was shaking. He didn't want to believe this fact. Be it Natasha or Hawkeye. They all fought with him. And how could it be such a coincidence? Killed 2 in 24 hours. This couldn't help but give him a chill in his heart, which rushed up from the soles of his feet to the Shineling cap. Barton insists on his story. He was very depressed and didn't want to communicate with anyone. He will communicate with me at this time. Nick Fury decided to find out. Although he firmly believed that Barton would not do this, but as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., you must figure out what happened at that moment. No detail can be missed. Click, the door is opened. Nick Fury walks towards Hawkeye. Barton. However, what is unexpected is the background music becomes extremely weird. It feels like something bad is about to happen. Goosebumps all over my body, staring at Patton in the video. I feel like something is wrong with him. Something is very wrong. Countless people's nerves were tense at this moment, staring closely at Barton. When Nick Fury lightly kicked his foot and fell directly to the ground, countless people's hearts suddenly shook and their whole bodies trembled. Because Barton in the video is also dead. What the hell? Barton is dead too? Wasn't he sitting there just now? Who can tell me what happened? Why is Barton dead? He was in our sight the whole time. I'm sure no one went in just now. It's too scary. I can't figure out who the person behind this is. Countless people think about it and are extremely frightened. It would be terrifying enough to kill the target by the hands of others, but now he killed Barton directly in front of them without showing any trace. It's even more shocking. I couldn't help but feel extremely nervous, feeling like the next person to die would be me. Video continues. A sad, soothing piano plays in the background. Like cherry blossoms falling on the lake. It makes people sad and suffocating at the same time. Only seen in the screen. Inside the morgue. Barton and Thor lay on the cold iron bed. Nick Fury and Coulson stood on either side. His brows were furrowed. A drug test is being conducted to see if cyanide capsules were used. Now, Coulson's only thought is that Barton commits suicide. But Nick Fury, who was familiar with Barton, shook his head and retorted, Barton has a wife and children, so it's impossible for him to commit suicide. So, you think it was murder? Although, there is basically no sign of murder, but for an old man like Nick Fury who has experienced many storms, often the impossible things get closer to the truth. If I had to bet, I guess it must be the same person who killed Stark. But Barton was locked in the room with no signs of struggle or trauma. It's very weird. But don't we also have an alien corpse here? It looks like a dancer in a strip of clothes, rotting on the isolation platform. Nick Fury's message is clear. There could even be an alien corpse lying here. It's no surprise that Patton is lying here. Coulson frowned and tried to connect the 3 dead people, but failed. So he asked, but do a billionaire playboy have anything in common with a SHIELD agent killer? Can you think of anything? When Coulson said these words, Nick Fury's eyes lit up. He seemed to have really thought of something. The background music also gradually became brighter and louder at this moment. It's like finding a corner of an oasis in the desert. Finding hope. The viewers who were watching the video also thought of a possibility. That's exactly what the title says. The people this murderer murdered were all the intended candidates in Nick Fury's Avengers plan. Chapter 213. Hiss. Countless people took a breath of cold air, although it is still unknown who the murderer is, but they now have a direction point. That is the target of the murderer, the intended candidate in the Avengers plan. Just follow this direction point, the murderer will definitely be found. Countless people began to get excited, and their anticipation was crazy at this moment. They couldn't wait to see Nick Fury find the murderer to satisfy their curiosity. After all, no one has a clue. This murderer seems to exist, but he has never been seen, so I fixed my sight on the video again. 0 Ask for flowers. Looking forward to further developments. Video continues. The scene came to a university. A beautiful figure walks on the path. When the camera zooms in. Everyone who was watching the video recognized who this person was. It's Banner's ex-girlfriend whom I've seen in the Hulk video before. I saw her holding a few books in her hands and walking with her head buried. But at this moment a black figure stood in front of her and greeted, "Drive." Ross, you may not remember me, but I remember. I told you many times. Just like the last time S.H.I.E.L.D. came to investigate. I haven't seen him. The man Dr. Ross refers to is, of course, Bruce Banner because of her special status. So S.H.I.E.L.D. often comes to investigate. So that we can find the Hulk. And the black figure who came to find her was none other than Natasha, who was taken away by S.H.I.E.L.D. before. It seemed that, as she said, handcuffs of that level could not lock her at all. I'm not here for the Hulk. His name is Dr. Bruce Banner. I'm in a hurry. Agent Romanoff. I'm here to check on Tony Stark. I believe he was murdered. Finished. Natasha handed the syringe to Betty Ross. I hope that with her help, I can find out what went wrong with the needle. Maybe we can follow the clues and find the murderer. The background music became more and more mysterious, leaving countless people deep in thought. The sooner the truth is revealed, the more impatient it becomes. But because the video cannot be fast forwarded, they can only endure and look down. I saw the screen change. I saw Betty Ross observing the needle under a biological microscope. Then he came to his own conclusion. The syringe was clean and free of any deadly pathogens. Then, what killed him? It's not biotechnology anyway. The antidote hasn't even left the syringe. It looks to me like a tiny object is emitted from the needle. Betty just finished speaking. The camera zooms into the image, seen through the microscope. I saw that the top of the needle was damaged. See this scene. Countless people took a breath. Originally they thought the antidote had been tampered with. But now it seems that they were wrong again. What exactly killed Tony Stark? Just when people are thinking. In video. Natasha's phone rang. Nick Fury's voice came from the other end. Bad news and worse news. Are you in a safe location? Not here now. Barton is dead. I know what he means to you. When Nick Fury told Natasha about Barton's death. The latter's face was solemn for a moment, and then he closed his eyes tightly. The background music is extremely sad at this moment, and it can't help but remind countless people of that cliff. The reason why Barton was able to get the soul gem. It's because Natasha regards them as family, and she loves her family deeply. So now that she heard the news of Barton's death, how could she not feel sad? However, she did not show it. Instead, she gritted her teeth tightly, with the fireworks of revenge in her eyes, and said word by word, "Who should I kill now?" His and Stark's cases seem to have something in common, and that is the Avengers plan. Who else is on the list? The point. There's Bruce Banner and you. Boom. When Nick Fury said these words, countless viewers watching the video were as shocked as Natasha in the video. They can already imagine at these two people will also die one after another. And just when people started to worry about who would die first, Natasha or the Hulk. The camera turned. The cabinet next to Natasha opened. When people see this figure. They all froze in place. Good guy. It's actually Bruce Banner. Now there is no need to worry about who dies first. Natasha and the Hulk. Danger. Factory 129. I didn't promise immortality. Question mark? Hulk is dead. It's finished. The remaining two are gathered together. Then, wouldn't this be exactly what that person wanted? I guess Natasha and the Hulk will also die inexplicably. So who is this person? Now I only know his purpose, but I can't find any clue. A clue? I'm so anxious. It's so appetizing. I don't think the two of them can die. After all, that's the Hulk. Who do you think can kill him? I think Natasha will die first. At this moment, countless people are worried. When they heard Nick Fury's words, it feels like there is a big mountain pressing down on me, and I can't breathe. Although based on existing clues it can be inferred that the murderer's purpose is to eliminate all candidates in the Avengers plan. But we only know the purpose, and there are no clues about the murderer. This is what makes them anxious and looking forward to it. But what worries them now is the last two people left on the list were actually gathered together. It is hard not to think that these two people will die together. But someone raised another point, that is, if the Hulk is so powerful, how can he be killed? Good point. Whether it's Asgard or snapping your fingers, the Hulk is not even dead. Although the enemy is hiding in the dark. But for this thick-skinned guy, it shouldn't be a problem. The thought of this many people feel a little bit more comfortable inside, so I turned my attention to Natasha and prayed for her. It's really 623. Who is this guy? Why did he kill all of us? The other side. Bruce Banner, who was watching the video, was extremely angry. Even when he roared, he was about to transform into the Hulk. Chapter 214. It also means that the Hulk in his body is also extremely angry. But no wonder, when Natasha died in the previous ranking, Banner and Hulk were already in despair. If it happens again now, I'm afraid they will lose control and transform on the spot. See this scene. Tony Stark is fully prepared. Although the Hulkbuster armor has been produced. But now that he has Optimus Prime, he feels more at ease. So he said, "Green guy, don't transform here, and maybe you in the video will die too." After all, there is a saying that a mouse can defeat an elephant. Here, the words of Tony Stark. Bruce Banner struggled to control himself. Although he, like many people in the barrage, did not think he would die. But he had a very bad feeling. It seems like what Tony Stark said. Being big and strong doesn't mean you're invincible. Everything that exists must be in conflict. I couldn't help but start to get nervous. Continue watching the video. Video continues when Bruce Banner comes out of the closet. The background music becomes scary intense. Countless people took a gulp of saliva and felt full of anticipation at this moment. What will happen to the two of them? At this time. The music suddenly goes silent. Like a sign before a storm. I saw Natasha not talking to Banner. Instead, he turned and looked out the huge floor-to-ceiling window. His face became extremely heavy. Then he spoke in a low voice, "We have to leave now." When Natasha finished saying this, countless people became even more nervous. They seemed to have expected that something terrible was going to happen. But what they didn't expect was when Natasha turned around and took Bruce Banner out, the silky transition appeared again. As the door was closed, the camera passed through the door and came to the inside of a car, revealing Coulson's figure. The background music is cheerful and casual. But it can't soothe people's hearts at all, but makes them more irritable and restless. Good guy. I obviously want to see what happens next between Natasha and the Hulk. You showed me Coulson. It's so appetizing. No, I want to see what happens next between Natasha and Bruce, but you damn me changed the scene again. I'm so angry. What? A dog author. He's so good at whetting people's appetites. Hurry up and turn me back. What? Is Coulson playing? What can happen to him? He is not a member of the Avengers plan. Countless people began to spray impatiently. But they can't change anything. I could only feel impatient and at the same time wildly daydream about what would happen to Natasha and the Hulk. He didn't care what happened to Coulson at all. However, the next second, they were slapped in the face. Feeling hot. Your place, Coulson. I went to buy coffee and take a breather. I bought you a double macchiato, your favorite choice. When Coulson responded to Nick Fury's words, "We have already reached the outskirts of the base point." And when I was about to scan my ID and go in, suddenly, boom. The whole earth is shaking. It's like a magnitude 10 earthquake is coming. And Coulson noticed that the items around him were floating. So he raised his head and looked at the sky, and the camera followed his gaze. When a rainbow beam fell from the sky, the audience, who had not cared about what happened to Coulson just now, widened their eyes and took a breath, because this is Asgard's rainbow bridge. Whoops. Countless colorful energy washed away, setting off a wave of sand and dust that reached the sky, covering the sky, and sweeping in all directions. When Coulson got out of the car and looked over their point, I saw rows and rows of soldiers lined up neatly, as if they were ready to fight at any time. The background music became passionate and violent at this moment. The camera zooms in front of the soldier. Soon I saw Loki, however. When the thing in his hand caught people's eyes, the pupils of countless people were shaken, like a deep sea bomb exploding in their hearts, setting off a rolling tsunami, beating their hearts crazily, feeling short of breath, and trembling all over their bodies, because what Loki holds in his hand is not the psychic scepter that appeared in previous videos, but Gun of Eternity. Odin's weapon. What? It's the Eternal Spear. Why is Loki holding the Eternal Spear instead of the Mind Scepter? Did he also kill Odin? Damn it. If Loki has the strength of Asgard, then ruling the earth seems to be a matter of minutes. This is so damned. Almost all the Avengers are dead. Who can stop him? Yes, the Avengers are all dead. Even if 2 are still alive. But death is not far away. Recalling the previous video, the Avengers gathered to fight Loki. What a shocking scene it was. However, in this world, what a sad picture it is. If Loki invaded Earth, it would be a no-brainer with Asgard's military strength alone. It can be easily taken. The thought of this, it made countless people feel aggrieved, unwilling and regretful. The background music is getting tighter and tighter. Shield also sent countless agents here. I saw Nick Fury get out of the car, straighten his body, and walk forward and said, "Want to ask for directions? Sir, you seem to be lost. You'd better kneel before God." Loki smiled contemptuously. Still so unworthy of a beating. But the people watching the video couldn't complain. Because now no one can fight against Loki, who holds the Eternal Spear. We don't do this kind of thing here, no matter who you are. I am Loki, the Prince of Asgard. When Loki was about to introduce himself, countless people's hearts jumped into their throats, because what Loki said after the introduction will definitely involve the purpose of Loki coming, or to invade the earth, or for Thor. This is related to the survival of the earth, so how could they not be nervous? How can you not be anxious? However, just when their expectations were filled here, ding ding ding, the phone is ringing. The whole scene was embarrassing for a while. The source of the ringing tone is none other than Nick Fury. Along with the phone ringing, the silky transition appeared again, arriving at Natasha and Banner on the other side. It makes countless people feel as if there are countless ants crawling inside. On one side is Natasha Banner's ending, and on the other is Loki's purpose. They all really want to know. Damn. Fury, answer the phone. Chapter 215. At this time Zero, although everyone had just been aroused by Loki's words, but now back to Natasha. Still curious, will the ending of the two of them be as they thought? When Natasha grabbed Banner and called anxiously, Banner spoke his mind. Listen to me. If I escape alone, everyone will be safer. I'm considered immortal. That's right. It's just as everyone thought. Banner is basically immortal. So I couldn't help but become even more nervous. This time, it would be Natasha's turn to die. However, just when Banner and Natasha were communicating, the background music suddenly sounded a threatening sound, as if thousands of troops were galloping in. When Natasha looked outside, the camera also followed her gaze. When countless helicopters and tanks come into view, people who were watching the video became nervous. The nerves in their whole bodies were tense, and their hearts were trembling. Unexpectedly, the person waiting this time was not a killer, but an arrest by the military. I am a SHIELD agent, Romanoff. I have captured Bruce Banner. Please don't take action. Natasha, is very witty point. Saying these words in the face of this situation will not only avoid a war, but maybe even take Banner away. Point General Ross and his troops below also did not fire. Point however, just when countless people thought that this disaster would just pass, snapped, gunshots ring out. I saw a bullet piercing the sky and hitting Bruce Banner's body, causing blood to flow out immediately. Who shot? Not our commander. Boom. People watching the video heard General Ross talking to his men. Instantly, I felt a chill rush from my back to Shinlingay. I felt my scalp was numb and my breathing was short of breath. It wasn't General Ross's men who did it. Then who else? etc. It's the murderer. Countless people were looking around, trying to find traces of the murderer in the video. My heart beats loudly to the intense music. They can't wait to know who the murderer is. But before they could find the murderer, Bruce Banner on the other side was injured and transformed into the Hulk. Roar. Roar like a wild beast resounded. Point the Hulk fell from the sky, smashed a huge crater into the ground, and then rushed towards General Ross's tank. You must know how terrifying the power of the Hulk is. With every punch, the extremely hard tank dented like a cardboard box. Even if these soldiers fired at him wildly, they could not hurt him at all. As Bruce Banner himself said, point he is almost immortal. Even bullets can't kill Bruce Banner. So the murderer's current target is Natasha. Where is the murderer? He must have wanted to take advantage of the Hulk to make such a big fuss and kill Natasha. It's so scary. I can't find the murderer at all. In video point the Hulk is furiously bombarding the tank point, but the attention of those watching the video was all focused on Natasha point, because they feel point this murderer deliberately shot Banner to turn into the Hulk. Point just want to take the opportunity to kill Natasha. As the music gets tighter and tighter, countless people's nerves are becoming more and more tense. Point not letting go of any detail of the video. Point everyone is like a detective trying to catch the murderer, but I never saw anything wrong with Natasha point. But just when they relaxed point the Hulk, who was extremely irritable at first, suddenly became quiet, and the whole body began to twitch and swell, as if it had been inflated, getting bigger and bigger, as if it had a great impact on people's vision, and it was even more shocking. Boom. Then in the eyes of people who were so shocked that they could no longer be shocked, the Hulk exploded with a bang, turning into countless blood and falling on the land. The shock wave that exploded set off a wave of sand and dust that reached the sky, blowing countless people away. See this scene point. Suddenly, everyone watching the video in the entire universe was silent and dumbfounded. The murderer's target turned out to be the Hulk. Point 130. The truth is gradually revealed. Natasha was brutally murdered. Silence. Speechless. People throughout the universe who were watching the video were dumbfounded and froze in place. They were talking about the Hulk's immortality just a second ago, and the murderer's target must be Natasha. But who would have thought that the Hulk would explode and die in the next second? This scene is like a meteorite, stirring up a tsunami in the hearts of countless people, rolling and boiling, unable to calm down for a long time, and the shock wave caused by the Hulk's death seemed to break through the screen, causing a huge impact on their vision, and slowing them down from their days. In an instant point the barrage blew up the entire video. Holy shit, 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 the Hulk is dead. How is it possible? Isn't the Hulk almost equal to immortality? Why did he die like this? Or he exploded and died. Shocked me for 10,000 years. I just thought this was the murderer using the Hulk to cause unrest in order to kill Natasha. Who would have thought that he was here to kill the Hulk? How on earth was it done? It's so scary. Who is this murderer? I'm still confused until now. As a dog author, you are really getting more and more appetizing. This murderer kills people invisible. First Tony Stark, Thor, Hawkeye, and then the Hulk. What should I do if I feel a cold feeling on my back? Me too. I feel like he is invisible. Countless people were breathing heavily. Point the main reason is that this murderer is too mysterious and his methods of committing the crime are unknown, which makes countless people feel creepy. They even wonder if this murderer can become invisible. However, just when countless people were frowning and had no clue. Point the other side. Point on the earth. Point inside SHIELD. Tony Stark watched the video and hugged Yu Hung with his arms. He always felt as if he had captured something, but he could never remember it. Until he saw the invisibility mentioned on the barrage. I suddenly realized it, and my eyes lit up. That's right, invisible. Tony Stark's brain was running wildly, and he recalled the moment in the video when he went back to the past to seize the cube. Why did the white box containing the cosmic cube slide to his feet out of thin air? It was as if someone was invisible and delivered this box. The thought of this: Tony Stark has his sights set on one person. That's Scott, that chatty one who went with him to seize the cube. It's him. That's right. It's him. Tony Stark said to himself excitedly. I'm even extremely proud and want to praise myself as a genius. The surrounding Avengers were also very curious when they heard this. Could it be that Tony Stark has already figured out who the murderer is? Who is it? Tony, tell me what you think. Banner is very anxious now. I even felt very panicked. Just now he said that he would not die. Tony Stark retorted. It turned out that Tony was right. Chapter 216. This also makes him believe even more that Tony Stark does have unique insights. So I couldn't help but wonder who killed him. Soon. Nick Fury, Natasha, Hawkeye and other Avengers members have their sights fixed on Tony Stark. Even if the latter wants to sell it off, it seems that it can't be done now. So he said disdainfully, that's the guy who talks as much as Parker and makes endless noises. Scott, do you remember that in Civil War, he could grow bigger and shrink into the quantum realm? If he shrinks, then it's really no different from being invisible. Hiss. Everyone gasped. It felt like a huge wave had set off in my heart, and I couldn't calm down for a long time. Although there was no footage of Scott in the previous video. But regarding his abilities, some scenes in the video also clearly show that he can grow both large and small. If he shrunk down to the size of an ant. So in the video, it's really like being invisible. It's really possible. Tony, you are a genius. If you shrink it to a certain level, it will be the same as being invisible, and then you can kill these people without anyone noticing. I didn't expect this, but why did Scott kill the entire Avengers? And if calculated according to the normal timeline, Scott is probably still in jail for theft, just after everyone walked out of the darkness and finally found their target. Nick Fury's words shattered their illusions. That's right. Let's not talk about whether Scott is in jail or not. Let's talk about his motive for killing. Basically nothing to do with the Avengers. Even more deeply, it has nothing to do with SHIELD. After all, this murderer wants to destroy the Avengers and obviously wants to take revenge on SHIELD. This time everyone fell into deep thought again. But I have to say, they already have a breakthrough direction. And Nick Fury was also enlightened by Tony Stark's words. He also thought of a candidate, and because it's not certain. So he didn't say it. Instead, I watched the video quietly, waiting for the final answer to be revealed. Video continues. When the Hulk dies, the screen switched to the other side. Although Loki looks so in need of a beating. But I have to say that he and the army behind him made people feel a great sense of oppression and tension. That's right. On one side is the dwindling Avengers, and on the other is Asgard, whose army is pressing down on the border. It makes people feel so depressed that they can't breathe. Even those who are watching the video are still immersed in the shock that the Hulk just died. But at this moment, I have to pray that Loki will not start a war on the Earth. Why are you here, Mr. Loki? Nick Fury asked what everyone wanted to ask. That's Loki. What on earth are you doing here? Countless people prayed in their hearts that Loki would not come to invade the Earth. In that case, the entire Earth will be easily conquered by him. Revenge. An agent on this planet killed Odin's son, Thor, the Prince of Asgard. Finished. Loki directly took out the ancient winter coffin. See this scene. Countless people were shocked in their hearts, although Loki did not invade the Earth. But looking at this posture, it seems to be no different from invading the Earth. The background music is getting deeper and deeper, as if it is sinking into the sea, and is extremely suffocating, making people start to feel sad and desperate. Now not only can the murderer be found, but Loki also wants to avenge Thor at this time. Is the Earth really going to perish? Boom. Loki didn't say much. Directly pouring energy into the ancient winter coffin, a beam of ice shot out in an instant, freezing everything it touched. freezing cars or agents into ice cubes, and the resulting noise was terrifying and astonishing. See this scene. Nick Fury's pupils dilated dramatically. Although these weapons shocked him. But fortunately, he is someone who has experienced strong winds and waves. He immediately stood up from the ground and shouted in a deep voice, declaring war on our planet. Will not bring your prince back to life. After he said these words, the woman next to Loki, who was Thor's former girlfriend, held down the ancient winter coffin and stopped Loki. We have a common enemy. The guy who killed your brother also killed 2 of my guys. 2 good guys. So maybe we should work together. We are not allies. Loki was now angry and sad inside. Although he caused Thor to be demoted here. But he didn't really want to watch Thor die. So when I learned about Thor's death. He rushed here immediately. Now you want to cooperate with me? What a joke. Then let me help you, and I promise you'll get what you deserve when your brother's killer is found. A clever choice of words, but I deserve the whole body. Loki exuded pressure. He's not as reckless as Thor. You have to give me time. When Nick Fury said these words, Loki glanced at the setting sun. And then accepted Nick Fury's rhetoric. Okay, you have to hand over the person who killed my brother at the next sunrise, otherwise I will turn your planet into ashes and ice. When Loki finished saying this, it's not just Nick Fury who's relieved. People who were watching the video also breathed a sigh of relief. Now there is no more Rocky offense. Nick Fury and Natasha should be able to continue their search for the killer. But when Loki gives time. It made everyone nervous again. Can the murderer really be found in such a short time? How could it be possible? How is it possible to find the murderer in such a short period of time? Maybe the murderer is not found, and Natasha is dead. It seems like there is no chance. Please pray for them, Spider-Man. Hehe, actually I already know who the murderer is. You won't be able to guess it. Do you know who the murderer is? Damn it. Say it quickly. When people are still worried about what to do. Spider-Man Peter Parker's barrage instantly grabbed their attention. It has freed countless people from depression and sadness, and filled them with expectations. Spider-Man. But Mr. Stark warned me not to spoil anything. I can only talk about the murderer. He was actually at the scene of the crime all the time. It can even be said to be everywhere. However, when Spider-Man's next barrage appeared on the screen. It also ignited the impatient and anxious hearts of countless people. Before, they thought the murderer had used other people's hands to kill these people. But Spider-Man's words instantly changed their thinking. The murderer was always at the scene of the crime. But why has the murderer never been seen? Holy crap, I know. This murderer will definitely become invisible. I just said that this murderer will become invisible. You still don't believe it? Now that Spider-Man has been revealed, it must be the case. No. There is another situation besides invisibility. That is, it is so small that we cannot see it at all. The thoughts of countless people collide. At a time when most would consider invisible. There are a handful of people who share the same inspiration as Tony Stark. That is, the murderer is so small that he cannot be seen. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217. But it also has the ability to kill. This made people even more excited. Who is this murderer? Video continues when Nick Fury asked Loki for a little time. The scene turned, and we came to a public library. It was pitch black inside. But there is a little light. I saw Natasha sitting in front of the computer, asking Coulson for her account password, and then checking the Avengers plan. But what she didn't expect was rejected by Coulson. I can't give it to you. Why not? I can't say, Coulson, Clint, he's your friend too. Okay. #StevStevStemimina Steve 0704 623. Wow. When Coulson revealed his password. All the viewers who were watching the video laughed out loud from their nervousness. No one expected it. Coulson actually admires Captain America so much. Even the password is using his name. But be a good fan. Wow. Great. Thank you, Natasha. Successfully logged into the SHIELD database point and clicked on the Avengers project point. Then came a surprising discovery point. A woman who had been dead for 2 years actually logged into the database yesterday. Immediately called Nick Fury. The background music became very mysterious and scary at this moment, and there was even the sound of the door being opened point, making countless people extremely nervous at this moment. It seems like this mystery is about to be solved. Click sudden. Just when people thought the sound of the door being opened was background music point, only to discover that it was the real sound of the scene in the video. Suddenly, their hearts trembled and a chill rushed from behind to Shine Lingay. Could it be that the murderer has found Natasha? You can't beat me, and you can't beat SHIELD. When Natasha stood up and said this, countless people swallowed hard. It was exactly what they thought. What was supposed to come finally came. Boom. A dull crashing sound resounded. I saw a black shadow in the darkness instantly bombarding Natasha to the ground, and the mobile phone in her hand also fell, but no one answered the phone, and it went directly to message mode. Bang. Bang bang. The dull sound of impact kept resounding, and Natasha had no power to fight back and kept hitting the wall or the ground. Then, under the extremely nervous gazes of countless people, he crawled to the phone and yelled with all his strength, "Fury, it's hope. It's all because of hope." When Natasha finished saying this, the figure was dragged directly into the darkness and disappeared. See this scene. The faces of countless people were solemn. My heart felt extremely depressed and aggrieved, as if being grabbed by a hand. They can already imagine that Natasha was also brutally murdered. All personnel involved in the Avengers project died, but Natasha revealed the clue before she died, even though they don't understand. But what about Nick Fury? Can he understand this sentence and use it to find the murderer? People in the entire universe can't wait to know, and the anticipation and anger are rising to the top at the same time. If this murderer is caught, he will be cut into pieces. 131. Countless people were shocked. The real murderer turned out to be, sure enough, I'm dead too, but who is this Hope? Hope? What do you mean? At this moment, when Natasha in the video suffered a vicious attack. Natasha in the real world also frowned. Keep trying to understand this sentence. But let her think whatever she wants. Can't find any clues, because the word hope in this sentence sounds like it is talking about hope. It's even more confusing. She thought that she in another world really got useful information. No, it shouldn't mean hope. In that case, Natasha would not say anything that had nothing to do with the clue, and she also said that everything was because of hope. Wait, could it be that hope is a person's name? Nick Fury's eyes lit up. Reacted immediately, and when everyone heard this, they suddenly realized, recalling that when Natasha was searching for information just now, she actually muttered that a woman who had been dead for 2 years actually logged into the database yesterday. Maybe Hope is this woman's name. The thought of this, everyone turned their attention to the video. Since Nick Fury in the real world can understand Natasha's words, what's more, it's Nick Fury from another world. Video continues. When Natasha was dragged into the darkness, the scene changes. We even came to a coffee shop. It was surrounded by agents' vehicles, nothing else. Now the people in the Avengers project are dying one after another. However, there is still one person who is not dead. Who is it? It's Nick Fury, the person who made this plan. So the murderer's next target is only him. I saw Nick Fury sitting in his seat with a solemn expression and carefully listening to Natasha's last message over and over again. Hope. It's all because of hope. It's not just Nick Fury. People watching the video also frowned. They couldn't understand this sentence at all. It even feels a bit outrageous. Sunrise in 4 hours, sir. That's when Coulson reminded Nick Fury. The background music sounded like the sound of water dripping, like a countdown, ticking, ticking, making countless people's hearts beat, and the atmosphere was very tense. 4 hours. Nick Fury only has 4 hours left. It lingered in his ears like a devil's whisper. If the murderer cannot be found in 4 hours, not to mention whether his life will be saved. The entire earth might be destroyed by Loki. This is a big gamble. I saw Nick Fury take a deep breath. Then slowly calm yourself down. Chapter 218. I haven't forgotten. I understand that alien invaders like Loki are the reason why you proposed the Avengers plan. to assemble a team of elites to fight a battle that you were originally unable to fight. But there is a problem, and there is a name. When Coulson moved the Avengers plan in front of Nick Fury's eyes, he pointed to the name signed by him personally. See this, Nick Fury actually knew it already. Then he said, I'm not the only Avenger left. Not the only remaining Avenger. Hear the words of Nick Fury. It's not just Coulson who's confused. The audience watching the video was also confused. Now all the candidates in the Avengers plan are dead. Even Thor, who was not part of the plan, died unexpectedly. Where are the other Avengers? However, when people saw Nick Fury walking into the car and taking out a calling machine, they all gasped. The background music is also on fire at this moment, because this pager is exactly the one Nick Fury used in the previous video, before he turned into ashes. It is also the pager that can call Captain Marvel. Yeah, why didn't I expect there to be such an Avenger? Captain Marvel. It's actually Captain Marvel. Even if Loki invades now, as long as Captain Marvel comes, it will be a matter of minutes to destroy them. Yes, Captain Marvel is also very powerful. Everyone who felt hopeless just now is now filled with hope. After all, in the previous final battle, people saw that woman single-handedly penetrate the sky shielding space aircraft carrier, so they all looked forward to it. It's hope. It's all because of hope. However, just when people are extremely looking forward to the arrival of Captain Marvel, I saw Nick Fury's pupils dilating rapidly, as if he understood something. It immediately attracted the attention of countless people. Everyone held their breath and looked at Nick Fury with great anticipation. Did he understand what Natasha's last words meant? I saw Nick Fury snort. A smile appeared on his face. It immediately filled countless people with anticipation. Obviously Nick Fury already understands the meaning of this sentence. Whoops. Cars speed down this street. In the eyes of everyone's expectations, Nick Fury drove to where Loki was just now. Then he said to the destroyer stationed here, do you have a name? Soldier. I'm here to see your commander. Finished. The screen goes black. The background music became extremely mysterious at this time, making people feel as if they had entered another world, making everyone who was watching the video extremely curious. My heart is itching and restless like ants crawling all over it. Holy shit, I've already taken off my pants and you're gone. What do you mean, dog? Author. Obviously Nick Fury already understands the meaning of that sentence, but you should tell me what it means. It's very tiring for you to make us guess like this. That's right. And why did Nick Fury go to find Loki? Is he planning to make some plan? Can you please be more damned? I'm so angry. You set up suspense link after link. I'm going to be tortured to death by you. Countless people were furious from the beginning of the video to now. They have guessed many people. But the result is neither. Slap them hard on the face. And now comes the critical moment. There are even two suspenses set up. What does Natasha mean by that sentence? What does Nick Fury want to do with Loki after understanding this sentence? They want to know like crazy. The results of it. It was like a sudden transition. How could this not make them angry? But they had no choice but to curse and watch. And the curiosity and anticipation have only grown. Because they had a hunch that the real murderer would definitely appear. At this moment, when the screen reappears above the sky, a huge figure seemed to be looking directly at this place through layers of dimensions. While people were still cursing, saw this figure. My heart suddenly shook, as if it had set off a huge wave. And I couldn't calm down for a long time, because this figure is the observer, watching all this. Gudang. Countless people swallowed hard. After calming down, he even cast a look of awe. I can't help but think of the comments of previous observers. He never takes action or interferes with what happens. Every world observer should have seen that no matter who dies, he will not take action. It is really a pity. If there were no Avengers on this earth, it is estimated that the fate of this earth would also change. It might become riddled with holes and all life would be devastated. If only the observers could take action, none of them would die. People Side with emotion. They became more aware of the observer principle. Don't take action. Just observe. And some people are still imagining that if the observer takes action, will these heroes not die? But they also know that this is impossible. At this time the background music became particularly quiet, like an adventure, which immediately made people's curiosity spread again. I saw the camera slowly pull down from the observer above and a large cemetery appeared on the screen. The fog is hazy and tombstones are erected. It gave countless people goosebumps. Obviously this murderer already makes people feel eerie and uneasy. This scene makes people even more frightened. However, when Nick Fury appeared in the camera everyone was stunned. Good guy, you came to this cemetery alone. What is he doing here? Wait, where are his agents? Doesn't he know that the murderer's last target is him? Hiss. He actually dares to come here alone at this time. What is he going to do? There is no need to mourn those dead Avengers members in the middle of the night. See this scene. Countless people were confused. Every nerve in the body is tense without him, because they know that since Nick Fury has appeared, the murderer hidden behind the scenes should also appear. I couldn't help but feel nervous and excited at the same time, finally able to see who he is. Soon. Nick Fury stopped in front of a tombstone. When the inscriptions on the tombstone caught everyone's eyes, people who were nervous just now opened their mouths as if they had seen something extraordinary, because the word hope is clearly engraved on this tombstone. This is exactly what Natasha always emphasized in her last words. It turns out to be this SHIELD agent. It seems that Nick Fury really understood what Natasha meant. I understand, but what is Nick Fury doing here? Shouldn't it be to catch the murderer? Why should he be exposed here alone? This is asking for death. Chapter 219. When people suddenly realize this, they couldn't help but become more confused about Nick Fury's actions. Now that I know what these last words are saying. Why are you still exposed here? This is clearly sending someone to death. Why? Now that you understand my last words, why do you still go there? No, I will definitely not die. I must have my own reasons for doing this. Real world. Natasha was also puzzled when she saw this scene. But Nick Fury firmly believes that he will not fight an unprepared battle. Just like before, he always managed to escape death. Even if this will lead to the real murderer, he will take action against himself. But he thought of the end of the previous scene, where his self in another world went to find Loki, and he had already guessed that his other self was fully prepared, so he believes that this time, he will definitely survive and successfully catch the murderer. This is what his keen intuition told him. Sudden, when countless people are confused. The background music becomes extremely scary. Everyone's nerves became tense again. Nick Fury, who was listening to the video, seemed to have expected something and said softly, "Is that Hank Pym? Hank Pym?" When Nick Fury said these words, the camera turned to the side. When a figure wearing armor came into people's eyes, they all thought of a guy that's got Ant-Man. And this guy named Hank Pym is the first generation of Ant-Man. Hank Pym. It's him. I'm just talking about why you can kill people invisible. It turns out to be Ant-Man. He has shrunk to the extreme, and it's really impossible to find him. Damn it. Why didn't I think of that? Hiss. It's unbelievable. The murderer is actually Ant-Man. I guessed at least a dozen people, but I didn't get it right. I can only say that the author set up the suspense very well. I felt like I was constantly being slapped in the face throughout the whole process. I was really convinced. I'm convinced too. But why did Hank Pym kill them? At this moment, countless people's faces were full of shock and disbelief. No matter how much they thought, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't imagine that the real murderer was actually the first generation Ant-Man, Hank Pym. I can't help but praise the author's editing techniques and setting up suspense. Let them solve the mystery like a detective throughout the whole process. Even if you know the truth, it's still hard for them to recover. But they were also very curious. Why did the first generation Ant-Man want to kill the Avengers? When I think of this, people's hearts jumped into their throats again, and all the nerves in their bodies became tense. They need an explanation. I also want to know how Nick Fury can survive. 132. This is Nick Fury. Question mark? No. He is Loki, sure. Enough. I knew it wasn't Man. But it doesn't seem to be Scott, and this Hank Pym, I always feel like I've heard of it somewhere. At this moment point exclaimed Tony Stark, who was watching the video. Point, be proud of yourself for guessing correctly. Point, but he just guessed shrinking. Point, there was no guessing the candidate. Point, after all, he didn't know that this technology had existed before Scott. Point, regarding Ant-Man's information, he only asked Jarvis to extract it from previous videos, which was very little. You must be familiar with this name. Do you still remember that in the previous video, after you and Steve failed to get the cosmic cube, you took the risk of time travel and went back to the past again? Steve's mission was to steal this old guy Pym particle. He is the first generation of Ant-Man. Nick Fury explained it to them. Point, because there has been no inventory of Ant-Man until now. Point, so there's a lot of information they don't know. Point, hear the words only then did everyone react. Point, it turns out that this guy invented this Pym particle. Point, but why did he kill the Avengers and take revenge on S.H.I.E.L.D.? But why did he kill us to take revenge on S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did S.H.I.E.L.D. do anything to feel sorry for him? Moreover, I also want to know how he killed me. Banner still feels a cold feeling on his back. Point, although it is now known that the murderer is the first generation Ant-Man and can shrink. Point, but every time he recalled the video of his own death. Point, my heart was beating loudly and I couldn't calm down for a long time, and I even broke out in a cold sweat. After all, he still doesn't know how Hank Pym killed him. Hear Banner's words. Tony Stark and others are also very curious, how on earth did this guy kill himself? So they all turned their attention to the Dimension platform and continued to watch the video, hoping to get a reasonable explanation. Horrifying and weird. Point, at this moment. Point, video continues. Everyone stared at the figure on the screen with great curiosity. Point, after all, there are so many things they want to know. Only this man named Hank Pym can give them an answer. How dare you stand in front of a grave? At this time. Point, Hank Pym's gravelly voice echoed throughout the cemetery. Point, accompanied by a weird atmosphere. Point, it sounded like the whisper of a devil, making people shiver and have goosebumps everywhere. Point, even they who watched the video were like this. It's hard to imagine how Nick Fury felt in the video, but here's the surprise. Point, Nick Fury was surprisingly calm. I don't care about her, and I guess she won't mind either. After all, she's dead. She was killed by S.H.I.E.L.D. She was killed by you, Hank. Pym's eyes were like hawks staring at Nick Fury. Point, it was as if you could see a flame burning in his eyes. I want to kill Nick Fury, but he didn't do it right away. Point, because he wants Nick Fury to die alone and powerless in fear. And hear his confession. Agent Hope Van Dyne was killed while on a mission. Agent, she is my daughter. My good daughter, Hank Pym hissed. Point, I was very angry at Nick Fury's title. Point, if it hadn't been for him, his daughter wouldn't have become an agent, let alone die. She misses her mother, so you take advantage of her. Her mother is also an agent. Don't act stupid with me, Fury. You let her mind be filled with nonsense about protecting humanity and saving the world. You didn't mention how her mother died, and you caused her to also die from your S.H.I.E.L.D's dirty work. Hank Pym became more and more excited as he talked. Point, walking around Nick Fury. Point, and hear their conversation. Point, now people finally know. Point, why did Hank Pym kill people in the Avengers program to get revenge on S.H.I.E.L.D? That's because not only did he lose his wife before, but he also sadly lost his last precious daughter and put all the blame on S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury. Then you have the right to murder them? Tony Stark, Clint Barton, Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff. You took everything from me, and I wanted to hurt you. Watching all your efforts, all your struggles, all your hopes, all disappear. When Hank Pym said these words, the background music becomes extremely tight and rapid. Point, then the familiar translucent screen appeared on the screen. Point, in the first scene, when Natasha stuck the needle into Tony Stark's neck, the camera cut to the needle, and Hank Pym flew directly from the needle to Tony Stark and killed him from the inside. In the second act, when Hawkeye stood on a high point, aiming at Thor below, with a burst of lightning, Hank Pym suddenly rushed towards Hawkeye's hand holding the bow, causing him to let go. The finger caused Thor's death, and it was Hank Pym who entered from inside the ear and killed Hawkeye in the confinement room. Chapter 220. In the third act, the moment Bruce Banner was shot, Hank Pym had already followed the wound into the body, and during the Hulk's battle, he threw something at his heart that could make objects larger props, causing the Hulk to explode and die. In the fourth act, when Natasha was investigating, he also appeared behind her and used the device on her body to easily kill her. After watching this scene after scene, countless people's faces were full of shock and disbelief. Even though they had guessed so many possibilities, none of them got it right. My heart was beating like a huge wave. Lin Lan Novel Group 703216220. They never imagined that a seemingly small thing could single-handedly kill the entire Avengers. What about Thor, the Prince of Asgard? At this time, Nick Fury's words made people feel that something was wrong. Why can he still act so calm at this time? Moreover, the tone of speaking is different from usual. Has Nick Fury given up on him? Why doesn't he look panic at all? Nick Fury shouldn't talk like this, right? I think it's a bit flippant. Is it my imagination? I thought it was nothing if you didn't tell me, but now that I think about it carefully, it seems that it really doesn't look like Nick Fury. People discovered something was wrong one after another, but I couldn't tell what was wrong. One can only assume that he has given up on himself. After all, even a terrifying being like the Hulk can be killed by him. What's more, Nick Fury doesn't have any superpowers. Golden Retriever? You will definitely recruit him and tell lies to trick him into becoming a hero. That is your style. It has always been SHIELD's style. Find others to fight your battle. That's it. You killed him just because you had the ability. His death is just the icing on the cake. If you die, that's the real victory. At this time, the background music becomes intense and high-pitched. The air seems to be filled with the smell of gunpowder. When Hank Pym finished saying that sentence, it immediately shrunk to the size of an insect, flying towards Nick Fury with a roar that broke through the air. See this scene. Countless people's hearts trembled. Is it now Nick Fury's turn to die? But at this moment, there was a bang. I saw Nick Fury calmly slap Hank Pym on the ground. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people saw this scene. My pupils dilated rapidly, and my heart was beating hard. You must know that Hank Pym is very powerful in this state, but Nick Fury slapped him to the ground. What the hell? What the hell? Just slapped it on the ground? Am I out of my mind or something? One slap caught Hank Pym's blow with one slap? If I remember correctly, after Hank Pym put on the armor, he punched Natasha into the ceiling. What's more, Nick Fury. Is it possible that Nick Fury has some superpower? He didn't show it until now. Superpower. Countless people were shocked by what Nick Fury did. Just when they were confused, a barrage attracted their attention, and everyone thinks that Nick Fury must also have superpowers. Otherwise, it would be impossible for an ordinary person to survive Hank Pym's attack for such a long time. Whoops. The fist wind roared everywhere. In the eyes of everyone with great expectations, I saw Hank Pym constantly attacking Nick Fury, but no matter how he attacked, he was easily received by the latter. He even jumped high into the sky and performed a 360-degree spin before landing on him behind. What the hell? As a high-level person, you are still very energetic. How could Hank Pym not be shocked? Obviously Nick Fury is a high-level person. He doesn't have the same superpowers as other Avengers members. Can you actually fight him back and forth? So no longer underestimate the enemy. Shrinking again, he concentrated his power on his right fist, flew in front of Nick Fury in the flash of lightning, and swung out at him. Boom. The dull sound of impact resounded throughout the space. When Hank Pym flew in front of him, he saw Nick Fury in a fighting posture, and then suddenly struck him with his right fist, and the power burst out directly. Hank Pym was blown away, and hit the ground hard. He slid for a few meters before stopping, kicking up a cloud of sand and dust. Seeing this scene, countless people felt as if Nick Fury's punch hit their hearts and trembled violently. They didn't expect it at all. Not only can Nick Fury easily catch Hank Pym's attacks every time, you can even knock it away with one punch. Fury, when did you become so powerful? Natasha, who was watching the video at this time, couldn't help but exclaimed. Obviously he didn't expect Nick Fury to hide so deeply. Even himself in another world couldn't defeat Hank Pym. Nick Fury actually knocked him away with one punch, as if he was completely crushing him, and Nick Fury heard this. Then he shook his head, turned around and faced them and said, "It's obvious that he's not me. Isn't it, not?" Nick Fury. At this time Tony Stark and others fell into deep thought. From the beginning, they felt there was something wrong with Nick Fury. Faced with a being like Hank Pym. How dare you go here alone? And his behavior and conversation are different from before. Seems a little more cunning. That's right, cunning. No, it's definitely not Nick Fury. At this time Tony Stark seemed to have thought of something. Exclaimed. Banner and others are also very curious. If this person is not Nick Fury, who could he be? So they all looked at Tony expectantly, hoping he could give an explanation. Tony, tell me quickly, who is he? HMPH, who else could it be? Some extremely weak guy. Banner heard Tony Stark's dismissive reply. Pupils dilate dramatically. Then he fixed his sights on Nick Fury. In the video, I saw him teleporting to the rear during the battle with Hank Pym. No, that's not teleportation. That's an illusion. etc. Could it be that he is really that weak god? The other side. Others watching the video saw this happening. They also took a breath of cold air. Obviously they also discovered that it was not that Nick Fury had superpowers, but that he was not Nick Fury. Wait a minute. Isn't this Nick Fury? It's not like Nick Fury's style at all. He seems to have been playing tricks on this Hank Pym. I always feel that he is very familiar. I seem to have seen this style somewhere, but I can't remember who it is. Countless people fell into deep thought. Curiosity and anticipation are spreading at this moment. Crazy to know if this is not Nick Fury, who could it be? However, when they saw when Nick Fury copied himself one after another and surrounded Hank Pym, it dawned on them. It turns out that the one who has been fighting Hank Pym is not Nick Fury himself, but Loki. 133. Hank Pym was beaten silly, and Loki was indeed up to no good. Chapter 221. Good guy. It turns out this is Loki. I wonder how you can defeat Hank Pym. So, that's it. Nick Fury went to find Loki, just to let Loki pretend to be him. No wonder he dared to come alone. It turns out that he is not Nick Fury at all. Now, we finally have something good to watch, and everyone in Hank Pym is dumbfounded. At this moment, the faces of countless people were full of shock and excitement. All their questions about Nick Fury have been answered. And seeing Hank Pym's panicked look made me feel extremely happy. How could you? In video. Hank Pym's eyes widened. He didn't expect that Nick Fury was not but very skilled. You can also teleport to avoid his attacks. This is simply incredible. A guy who sits in a high position in SHIELD every day actually has superpowers. His heart was beating loudly, like a stormy sea, boiling and boiling one after another, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. Then he kept looking around. Want to find the exact location of Nick Fury, but who would have thought? 1, 2, and another Nick Fury appeared around him, surrounding him. Why are you everywhere, Hank Pym panicked. But the attack did not stop. But every time he pounced on one of the figures he will be blown away by another figure, and then fall heavily to the ground, accompanied by tense and exciting music. People clenched their fists seeing Hank Pym being played like this. I have to admit that Loki is sometimes useful, and at this time Hank Pym also realized something was wrong. It was obvious that this Nick Fury was different from the one he knew, although he didn't know what exactly happened. But he knew he had to escape from here now, so he immediately shrunk to the size of an insect, then poured all his power into his right foot, and suddenly stepped down. After countless smoke and dust were washed away, it flew into the sky like a cannonball, ready to escape. But right now, whoops. Biting cold air swept through. It condensed directly into an icicle and trapped it. Then he fell to the ground again. Hank Pym raised his head with difficulty. The inner imperative to win has turned into fear. This Nick Fury is too weird. It's too scary. Ha ha ha. Countless Nick Furies burst into hearty laughter, as if mocking. They all looked at Hank Pym. It made him feel as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. But at this moment, one after another, a spear appeared out of thin air in front of Nick Fury, and then changed into another appearance, and then merged into one, and the real Nick Fury also came to Loki's side. Who is this kid? At this moment point Hank Pym just realized it. It turns out that the one fighting him is not Nick Fury, so I want to know who the person who defeated me is. Hello, I'm the god of trickery, Loki. Snorted. I feel very satisfied with this game. Nick Fury on the side was also ready to end this farce. Shield is made up of people who are willing to sacrifice their lives for the greater good to save the world from people like you. Agent Hope Van Dyne understands this, and she will never be forgotten. Finished. Hank Pym was taken away by Asgardian soldiers, just as Loki and Nick Fury agreed at the same beginning. Accompanied by soothing, mellow music. People watching the video breathed a sigh of relief. This serial murder case is so exciting. Only now did they relax completely. Seeing Hank Pym being taken away gave me a feeling of revenge. I have to thank the author even more for showing them an unprecedented genre, crime solving type. Interesting, however. At this time, when countless people are relaxing. The background music changed from soothing and soft just now to depressing and weird again. The nerves of countless people who had just been completely relaxed became tense again. It's like walking out of a dark cave, thinking you've seen the light, only to find that you've entered an even more terrifying cave, full of depression and weirdness, and unpredictable. So people held their breath, gave up the discussion, and once again turned their attention to the dimensional platform. I saw Hank Pym after he was taken away. Loki smiled and said to Nick Fury, "This is really fun, Director Fury." "Very good, then take your hammer and get off my planet, Nick," Fury said without mercy. Loki helped him though. But Loki's existence has become the biggest threat on Earth for this alien. He never liked it very much, not to mention Loki comes across as sanctimonious. No one can be sure whether this guy will stab him in the back. But what no one expected was Loki just smiled awkwardly and then said, "On this point, we should become allies. It occurred to me that I want to stay in this place for a while." When people hear this sentence, they all froze in place. Suddenly I felt a chill going straight to Shinlinge. They actually forgot that this guy Loki has been thinking about occupying the Earth for a long time. Is this guy Loki still thinking about the Earth? I found out that Loki seems to have a soft spot for the Earth. He obviously has Asgard, but now he still wants to occupy the Earth. It's over. It's over. Without the Avengers, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes for Loki to occupy the Earth? Countless people's hearts are as depressed as if they have sunk to the bottom of the sea. I even felt a huge sense of oppression. Good point. Just as thought before. Loki is also a huge threat to the Earth. But now there is no Avengers, the Earth has lost its ability to resist. The background music becomes more and more powerful and magnificent. Just like when a new king ascends the throne, thousands of drums sound in unison. Loki turned around and left when he said these words. The silky transition appears again. The moment he turned around. The background has switched to the United Nations Center. There were Jinja everywhere, standing on both sides with weapons and shields, while Loki walked through the middle like a new king was being crowned, until he came to the podium. "Good evening, my loyal subjects. I'm honored to stand before you today and announce that in just one day, the nations of the Earth have put aside their differences and united to obey me. The unexplained true meaning of human nature is your desire to be tamed. The temptation of freedom harms the joy of life. You are born to be ruled, so I'm here to help you achieve your mission." Loki finished. There was an evil smile on his face. See this scene. People who were watching the video swallowed hard. Chapter 222. My heart was beating like a huge wave. Fortunately, they were mentally prepared just now. But I still didn't expect that without the Avengers, the entire Earth would be ruled by Loki in one day. How shocking. Sad news. Sadness, despair. In reality, people on Earth are extremely depressed. As Nick Fury said. These superheroes sacrifice for the greater good. But there are no more superheroes, so who in this world will protect us? Just when people think that there is no hope for the Earth in this world. The scene changes. Came inside a base. Coffins one after another are neatly placed here. Inside are candidates chosen one after another from the original Avengers plan. Nick Fury and Coulson also looked at the coffins with extremely heavy hearts, and then looked at Loki's speech. The Avengers died before they left the battlefield. May they rest in peace. They can rest, but we won't. The meaning of the Avengers has never been limited to a team of people. They represent a memorial and ensure that people need to believe that in the darkest moments, we will find our heroes. Nick Fury passed one coffin after another go out into the light. Accompanied by passionate music. His words seemed to rub off on a lot of people watching the video. That's right, they were still thinking just now. The Avengers are all dead. Who can protect the Earth? That must be the new hero. Some heroes who are willing to stand up for the greater good. The Avengers are never a team. Anyone can join in, and it can give hope to people in the world. This is what the Avengers are about. As the saying goes, times create heroes. Even if they are gone, there will definitely be new heroes who will stand up. That's right. Like Spider-Man or Captain Marvel, who is still countless light years away. They will appear. Wait, you seem to have forgotten someone. He was also a hero who stood up in the darkest time of mankind. You mean that? That's right. How could we forget about him? Zero ask. 4 flowers hiss. It seems to be on fire. As long as he is here, we will be able to assemble a new team of Avengers members again and crush Loki's delusion. Tell me who the hell you are. I'm so angry. Captain America. The hero who stood up in the darkest time of World War. The hero who will never fall no matter what. Boom. When people realize there is still Captain America, my whole body was shaking crazily. It's the trembling of excitement. That's right. Once in the darkest times the man stepped up and calmed the fight. Then he took the plane and sank to the bottom of the sea. Countless people believe it. As long as Captain America wakes up again, we will definitely be able to assemble a new team of Avengers, successfully defeat Loki's plan, and drive him back to his hometown just like in the previous video. Burn, burn. Countless people feel that hope is burning, and they all stared at the screen. When Nick Fury walked towards the dazzling light, he came into an ice cave and was looking for something. I believe that here, like other universes, hope will never die as long as there are always people looking at the overall situation, even if the people around me fall one after another. But never let Nick Fury fall into despair, because he believes it. I hope this thing will never die. That's why he came here. At this time when the flashlight shone on an ice pile, a conspicuous 5-pointed star came into his eyes. Then he knelt on it and wiped the ice, revealing the very familiar Captain America's shield. Welcome back, Captain. When Nick Fury whispered, countless people feel their blood boiling. Nick Fury has indeed found Captain America. However, what they never expected was when Nick Fury said these words, a dazzling golden light burst out from the side. The expectations of countless people were immediately filled. What exactly is this light? So they held their breath and concentrated. Their curiosity spread wildly, and they stared at the screen. The moment the camera turns to the light, countless people are excited. Holy shit. It turns out the captain that Nick Fury was talking about turns out to be Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. It's Captain Marvel who's here. Loki, you're dead. Great. Captain Marvel is back. Plus Captain America. Loki, just wait to die. Countless people raised their arms and shouted, very excited. They never expected that Captain Marvel would come back so quickly. When they first thought of Captain America, although hope was ignited, I still didn't have much confidence in my heart. But now, Captain Marvel is back. Wouldn't that mean Loki and other troops were wiped out in minutes? Just when countless people wanted to see the subsequent scene of violently beating Loki. The picture is directly frozen in this scene. On the left is Captain America's shield and Captain Marvel, while on the right is Loki and the Asgardian elite. The ending song also sounded at this time. See this scene. Countless people fell into sluggishness at first. Then after they recovered, they started yelling curses on the barrage. I just got excited, and your meow was gone. No more. That's it. That's it? Do you dare to give me more? You're going to piss me off, bitch. Author. I thought we were going to start a war later, but you stopped me right here. I haven't had enough yet. That's right. I really want to see Loki get beaten up. I also want to see countless People were angry point, although they already know that the subsequent ending will definitely be a victory for Captain America and Captain Marvel point, but they just wanted to see Loki get beaten up point. But who would have thought that it would be gone like this? It made their hearts itch and feel like they were sitting on pins and needles. But the next second point the voice of the dimensional platform sounded point, it immediately attracted their attention. Ding. We are randomly selecting candidates to receive rewards. Random pick? Although they really wanted to see how the two captains dealt with Loki point, but obviously the lottery session is more exciting for them than this. So everyone started to speculate who will get the reward. Factory 134. Choose 2 out of 3 rewards. 6th. What if Doctor Strange turns dark? As expected. I knew you had no good intentions, Loki. You kept talking about avenging me, then turned around and went to occupy the Earth. 9. Realms. Chapter 223. Asgard point. Thor complained at this moment point. In fact, it was as early as when Loki came to Earth in the video point. He had a premonition point. That means Loki must have bad intentions. Regardless of whether Nick Fury gives Loki an explanation or not point, the latter will definitely not let go of the Earth. It shows how well he knows Loki. As I said in the video, the people in the atrium all have a desire to be tamed, and I just want to satisfy them. Loki said proudly point. Extremely proud of myself in the video point. I even secretly rejoiced. Things that I couldn't do on this timeline. Myself in the other world actually completed it. How could it not be exciting? But he didn't show it point. Instead, he coughed lightly and continued. And what if Nick Fury finds Captain America and Captain Marvel? I can still defeat them. Here. The words all the gods in the entire hall were suppressing laughter, but I didn't dare to really laugh out loud point. After all, the abilities Loki now possesses, a terrifying point. What he said is so interesting. Not even the Hulk can beat him point. How is it possible to defeat Captain Marvel? At this moment point the image of the Hulk beating up Loki appeared in the minds of the gods. I can already imagine that when Captain Marvel beat Loki, the latter would arrogantly say a line, "I'm a god. How dare you kick a god with your feet?" But, of course point, they couldn't see it, even if they wanted to point. But at this moment point the voice of the dimensional platform sounded point, instantly attracted their attention. 627 also made Loki's nerves tense. After all, he must also be selected among the random draws. If I'm drawn, I will be the only chosen one with 2 rewards. Loki smiled evilly point. He feels like he is the protagonist in this video, so he thought he would get a reward. At the same time point when the sound of the dimensional platform sounded point, the Avengers members on the other side also became excited, although they died in the video point. But that doesn't mean they won't get rewards. On the contrary, there is a chance this time I must be rewarded again. This way I can protect the Earth. At this time point Tony Stark clenched his fists. I feel my heart beating rapidly point. After seeing Loki successfully rule the Earth point, the sense of crisis immediately enveloped him point. It made him very anxious, extremely eager for new power. Even now he has Optimus Prime and the future note point. But it's not enough to completely resist, because not only Loki, but also Thanos and other enemies. What he wants to do is protect the Earth with absolute superiority, be a preventer, not an avenger. I think I can also get a reward. Banner touched his nose point. Shy. He expressed his inner thoughts. Although on the previous ranking list, he was among the first few superheroes to receive rewards, but he also knows, compared with those at the bottom of the rankings, my own rewards don't seem as good as his. It would be a lie to say that I'm not envious. Who doesn't want their rewards to be powerful? So he wants to get more powerful power to protect the people he wants to protect. As for who it is, Banner looked at Natasha aside. Don't look at me. I'm not very interested in whether you get a reward or not, as long as you are still here. Natasha doesn't have much ambition point. Seeing her fighting alongside so many people in the video, I have long regarded them as family in my heart point. So the stronger her family is, the happier she will be point. As for yourself, she doesn't care point anyway. If she were asked to choose again, she would still sacrifice herself in exchange for the soul gem without hesitation. See this scene point. Nick Fury puffed out his chest point. Recall what I said in the video just now point. The Avengers Have never been a team point but a belief. That's right point, aren't these guys in front of me fighting for their own beliefs? It's enough that I just do ideological work for them. Ding. Congratulations to Nick Fury for winning the award. Please choose 2 from the 3 options below. Boom. Just when countless people are speculating on who will get the reward point, the sound of the dimensional platform suddenly sounded, caught countless people off guard, including Nick Fury himself. I saw his one eye expanding rapidly, and his face was full of shock and disbelief. He never expected it. Will he actually get a reward? Aren't superheroes the only ones who get rewards? It's me, Nick Fury whispered. He immediately turned to the dimensional platform, and his appearance instantly appeared on the dimensional platform of countless people. It's Nick Fury. That black braised egg. I thought it was Loki who would get the reward. I thought it was Loki too. If it really is Loki, he is the only one who has won the award twice, but it's quite reasonable to randomly choose Nick Fury. After all, he is the guy who ostensibly leads the Avengers. Nick Fury also deserves a reward. After all, this guy can never give up even in that situation. He is indeed a man. Yes, when facing Loki, he is obviously just an ordinary person, but he behaves neither humble nor arrogant. It's really good for Nick Fury to get rewarded. No one watching the video had any objections. After all, Nick Fury's performance is there for all to see. As the superficial leader of superheroes, he has also been fighting for the safety of the Earth. Even when facing Loki's army, he did not panic and calmly eased the crisis. Even though Loki invaded the Earth, he did not give up, but looked for new hope. Nick Fury, he really deserves this award soon. Everyone's expectations were heightened. Wonder what reward Nick Fury will receive. So I waited quietly for the reward options on the dimensional platform to appear. Dimensional platform's words just finished. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224. 3 options appeared in front of Nick Fury. Option 1. Kamen Rider Belt. A belt is randomly selected from all Kamen Riders. After transformation, a set of armor will be formed on the body. Not only will the strength and speed be greatly improved, but also you can use skills to attack or defense. If you are lucky, you will draw a power that can destroy a planet or even more powerful, such as the destruction of the world and the creation of the world. Option 2. The Thousand Blades of the Demon Knife. The Thousand Blades of the Demon Knife is one of the national treasures of the Divine Forging Kingdom. The thousand fragments of the blade can change shapes and attack the enemy in different ways. Only attack but not defense. Unparalleled in the world. It is an attack, the most powerful weapon. But if you don't know how to use it, it is an extremely fragile knife. Option 3. Choose any one from the other remaining rewards. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the entire universe watching the video saw what the reward was. However, when they read carefully, my heart trembled suddenly, as if it had been hit by a meteorite. It caused a great shock to them. Let's talk about option 1 first. Kamen Rider Belt. Although they don't know what Kamen Rider is, but when they saw the words transformation, I can't help but feel my blood boiling. After all, before this, they had envied Bruce Banner because he could transform into the Hulk when he was angry. This is what everyone dreams of, and they saw that this transformation was different from the Hulk's transformation. It does not transform from within the body. Instead, it forms a set of armor on the outside. But that wasn't what shocked them the most. The most shocking thing is being able to release skills. And the introduction also said that it actually contains the power to destroy a planet or even more powerful, thousands of things, destroying the world and creating the world. Hiss. Countless people took a breath of cold air. I was so shocked by this sentence that I was speechless. They can no longer imagine what level that power is at. It can actually create and destroy the world. Oh my god, it's too strong. Isn't this too strong? Even though I don't know what Kamen Rider is, but this one is a bit ridiculously strong, isn't it? Fortunately, the Kamen Rider belts are also drawn randomly, otherwise I would have tears of envy falling from the corners of my mouth. Nick Fury will definitely choose this. If he doesn't choose me, I'll chop off his head. That's not necessarily the case. Look at the second option. When people are envious of the first option point, then he shifted his attention to the second option. Only attack but not defend. You are unparalleled in the world. This sentence immediately attracted their attention. People can feel the power and domineering power of one person sweeping thousands of troops on the battlefield, and they have never seen a knife that can change into different forms. This is completely beyond their imagination. Good guy. When did a knife become so expensive? Hiss. Or 1,000 fragments can change their shape? What kind of operation is this? Good guy. It seems I'm still ignorant. Although I don't know which country the forging country is, the ability of this sword is a bit too terrifying. If the sword changes shape directly during a duel with others, how will the enemy react? Come here. That's right. And it's the most offensive weapon. I really want this thing too. Finished. 0. Finished looking at these two items. People who were watching the video were saw point. That's right point, they want both of these things, because these two things are even more beyond their imagination. One is a Kamen Rider that I have never heard of, and the other is a demon sword that can change forms that I have never seen. No matter which one it is, if you get it, it will definitely increase your combat power greatly. What about Nick Fury? But everyone also wants to know, how will he choose? Hey, these two things look very good. Nick Fury touched his chin point. Obviously he still feels like he's dreaming point, a little unreal point after all. He never thought he could get a reward too, but he thought about it for a while point. I already have the answer in my heart. First of all, his professional needs do not require fighting and killing like superheroes point. On the contrary point, it's quite nice to be a behind the scenes planner, and interrogating prisoners is also one of his responsibilities. In contrast, among the remaining rewards, the Supreme Lord of the Rings is a good choice point. Not only can he become invisible, but he can also read other people's thoughts. Isn't it tailor-made for him? As for options 1 and 2 point, he chose option 1 without hesitation point, nothing else point, because the second option, the 1,000 blades of the demonic sword, is only for offense but not defense. It doesn't suit him very well point, so he said in a deep voice, I choose option 1 and the One Ring. Ding. Kamen Rider belt is being randomly drawn. Congratulations to Nick Fury for winning Kamen Rider Kilbus. When the sound of the dimensional platform sounded point, I saw two beams of light shining on Nick Fury's body instantly. Then a mechanical belt and a gold ring full of texture appeared in his hands. Is this the belt of Kamen Rider Kilbus and the Supreme Lord of the Rings? Nick Fury has seen a lot of storms, but at this moment, it was difficult for him to calm down in his heart, because these two things are too terrifying. He put the ring on his hand, then activated the ring, and suddenly felt a strange energy surrounding him, and under the shocked eyes of countless people, he disappeared out of thin air. Countless people saw this scene point. Then I knew that this was the invisibility ability of the Supreme Lord of the Rings. Until now, seeing it with my own eyes seems to have had a great visual impact on them, and they were extremely shocked. However, when Nick Fury lost his invisibility and put on the Knight's belt point, they just found out point the invisibility just now was nothing at all. Click. When Nick Fury inserted the bright red spider-shaped prop into the groove of his belt, a mechanical sound suddenly sounded, shocking him and the people watching the video. Kilboo. Spider. Are you ready? Here. This sound point. Nick Fury was a little overwhelmed point. Countless people saw this scene point, also a little confused point. 1.3 Is there no instruction manual for this thing? How can I do? However, at this moment, Tony Stark reminded Nick Fury to turn the handle on the side. Turn the knob. Fury. Handle. Nick Fury then realized point, it turns out there is a handle here point, so it started spinning. Spider. Spider. Kilbus spider. When the second mechanical sound sounded point, a huge spider web formed in front of Nick Fury and then wrapped it into bright red armor, transforming into Kamen Rider Kilbus. It is covered with bright red color from top to bottom, like a deadly poisonous spider, and there are also huge spider legs on the back, which looks scary and arrogant. Hiss. Countless people saw this scene point. They all gasped. He really transformed. Chapter 225. And it looks extremely scary. It shocked countless people. Fortunately, Nick Fury was careful and did not release his skills, but he could already feel how terrifying the power this armor gave him was, how supreme. It's as if with a wave of your hand, the entire building can be wiped out in an instant. So I'm worried about everyone's safety. He didn't try. Instead, the transformation was released. This is also very disappointing to the audience. Just when they were ready to complain. The scrolling subtitles of the video immediately attracted their attention again. A new world in the 6th dimensional universe. If Doctor Strange turns dark. Boom. When the subtitles are completely reflected in people's eyes, the whole universe is boiling. 135. Countless people were shocked. Doctor Strange appeared on that road again. What? Doctor Strange turns dark. Is there a mistake? The 6th world is actually the world where Doctor Strange has turned black. What happened? If a being as powerful as Doctor Strange has turned dark, wouldn't the whole world be in danger? Why do I have an ominous premonition? I think there must be a reason for this. Someone else may have harmed him. Doctor Strange can't have turned dark for no reason. That's not certain. Maybe Doctor Strange, like the Ancient One, absorbed energy from the dark dimension, which then caused him to turn black. This is called asking for trouble. Hiss. What I said before makes sense. I also think Doctor Strange wanted to follow the path that the Ancient One took, and then turn dark for the sake of power. At this moment, when people see the title of the new world of the 6th dimensional universe, showing shock and disbelief, although they have been mentally prepared along the way, they know that every world is outrageous, but no matter how they guessed, they never succeeded. So knowing that this world is about a darkened Doctor Strange, they were even more filled with anticipation. I want to know what caused Doctor Strange to turn dark. What will happen to the world after the blackening? Even though many people gave their own answers, but there is still no answer that everyone agrees on. So I can't wait to know even more. As a result, the attention is shifted to the back of the subtitles, which shows that there is still an hour before the start. Their hearts were as itchy as if they were crawling with ants. I thought the author had gotten better before, because there were only a few minutes between each video. But I didn't expect that this time it would actually turn into an hour. Fortunately, someone suggested that before we had to wait for a day. Only then did everyone calm down. Compared to a day, an hour seems like nothing. So I09 stared at the screen, waiting for the video. Camotage. Library. At this moment, Doctor Strange is looking at the dark book. Originally, he just planned to give it a try and watch it for a while. But who would have thought that the magic contained in it far exceeded his imagination. The magic book in the library is compared to this book. It is simply one place on earth and one place in heaven. There are many kinds of magic inside, and the scope involved is extremely terrifying. So he took his soul out of his body and used it to learn the Book of Darkness. The main body is to study the Eye of Agamotto. Now, he just wants to become the supreme mage quickly, so I haven't had the chance to watch Dimensional Platform during this period of time. And he doesn't care if there's any funny video this time. But at this moment, the king appears. Strange. What are you doing? Wang scolded in a deep voice. Strange was stopped immediately. He has always been wary of the Eye of Agamotto. When Master Gui is not using it. He is naturally responsible for the Eye of Agamotto. Now Mordo is gone. And there are those traitors. So he was more cautious. Now that Strange is studying the Eye of Agamotto, how can we not make him angry? But when he turned his gaze to the side, only then did he realize that it wasn't what made him the most angry just now. The most annoying thing is, Strange is reading the Book of Darkness. Damn it, Strange. You'd better stop. Although this is a reward given to you by the Dimensional Platform. But don't forget, you are very likely to fall into darkness and never recover. But Strange finally came to his senses, returned the soul to its place. Cold sweat broke out on his body. If you look at him yourself, you will find that the circles under his eyes are obviously a little dark. Of course, the dark circles are not caused by staying up late. But it means that he has been eroded by darkness. Read the Book of Darkness for a while. It shouldn't be what you said, Strange. said harshly point, but I'm afraid inside point just now it seemed that I was really immersed in the book of darkness and couldn't extricate myself. That thirst for knowledge made his whole body boil point. I wish I could swim in the ocean of knowledge in the dark book every minute and every second point. If not the king point, maybe he will really fall into darkness like he said. But at this moment point spare C1 cursed angrily. You guy, take a look at the dimensional platform for yourself. If I hadn't wanted to come over and let you take a look, maybe you would actually do what the title says. Strange. Let out a confused sound point immediately clicked on the dimensional platform point. When he saw the 6th brand new world title in the new rankings, the whole person was stagnant in place and the whole body was trembling. I really turned dark? How is that possible? Strange. Exclaimed point. You know, he prides himself on having strong self-control point, otherwise it would be impossible to stand out among so many doctors. But now this title says that he has become a black man. This is not a blow to him. Boom. Strange took 2 steps back point. The heart keeps beating. His face was full of horror. He looked at the dark book on the side point, looked at the title again point. Could it be that he was really as described in the barrage? Can't stand the temptation of power and fall into darkness. He began to blame himself and regret point. What I want to be is a superhero who can protect the world like in the previous video point. And it's not a devil who sinks deeper and deeper in pursuit of power. See Strange's actions, the king side. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.